Welcome to the Pewtercast. Today is Monday, July 31st, 2017, and this is episode 41, Training Camp Hysteria. I'm one of your hosts, Brent Allen, and with me, as always, is a man who is working so hard that he forgets to sleep, Ren Daxt. Ren, are you doing okay there, buddy? How's it going for you?
Oh, I'm not forgetting to sleep. I've turned into an old man. I'm taking a siesta just about around, 4 o'clock for like an hour and a half every single day now.
Yeah, well, I mean, like even earlier today, I got a message that you were doing your training camp journal notes. You had just finished. You're getting ready to record, and I'm sitting there waiting, and and then I send you a message a couple hours later. You're like, "Oh, I fell asleep recording. I'm going to do this now and get it over to you." I was
Hashtag fake news was not a couple hours later, but yes, that did happen. It did happen.
I have this picture of you like sitting in front of your microphone with your head in your hands, just snoring.
That was pretty close. I gathered the notes in like a notebook. I can just go a lot faster, writing it freehand than typing everything into my phone. I just go a lot faster that way. And the pen was in my hand when I woke up, and the book was still open, like laying, on my leg. So yeah, it was pretty close.
Oh, there you go. That's fun.
But training camp is here.
Training camp is here, and you know what else is here, Ren? Real quick, just here at the top of the show, I want to plug this: fantasy football. And we've got lots of people signing up for fantasy football. If you guys want to be in the second annual fantasy football Pewtercast League, shoot us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Let us know you want to be in it. We'll make sure you're a part of that. And as a part of this, Ren, I was listening earlier today back to one of the very, very early episodes of the Pewtercast, like episode 2, as a matter of fact, Losing a Losing Culture. It's one of my favorites of the early shows.
No way.
And here's the thing. I have a big apology to make to anyone who was a listener back then with me when the intro to this show was like 10 minutes long.
Oh, yeah.
I am so sorry for putting you guys through that. That was grueling even for me to listen back to. So, Ren, in the spirit of that, let's cut this intro and get on with it. What do you say?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Well, guys, on today's show, we're going to be talking all things training camp, and we've got a good friend of the show, Trevor Sikkema from PewterReport.com, who's going to be joining us for that segment. And then, as we're kind of on the eve of the premiere of Talking Knocks, our very own Hard Knocks call-in after show, we're premiering tomorrow night. That's Tuesday, August the 1st. We're going to spend our top 3 this week talking about the top 3 things we're excited to see on Hard Knocks. And then we're going to wrap up, as always, this show with taking your comments, your questions, your emails. All of that is coming your way on today's episode of the Pewtercast. You're listening to episode 41, Training Camp Hysteria. And we're calling it Hysteria because that's all anyone seems to be talking about these days. And you know what? Rightfully so. Perhaps you're following all the media outlets and the reporters out there covering the Bucs with video from like 50 yards away so you can't really see what's happening. Or maybe you're on one of the 47 different Buccaneer websites and blog pages that are out there now, and you've been following, or maybe you're following along with our very own Ren Daxt for his new series of podcasts called Training Camp Journal. There's a lot of ways you can be following and keeping up with what's going on in training camp. But this is going to be a show where we're dedicating really to the first handful of days that we have out there. Now, Ren, we just mentioned your training camp journal. Talk to us about that. How's that been going for you so far?
It's been a lot of fun. I've been lucky enough to sort of move some things around where I've made it possible to get to all the open practices. All the ones that are open to the public, I'm going to. I've sort of found my seat, my spot. I don't get it all the time. You got to get there early to get that spot. Everyone's sort of figured it out. but it's really intimate this year. The seating has shrunk, and the fandom and the hysteria has risen, and everyone's in close, and all the fans are talking to each other, and they're talking about Buccaneers, and they've got guys running up and down in front of the bleachers waving flags, and people are cheering, and then of course you get to see your favorite players, and it's the closest you're going to get a training camp if you can make it there. You're closer than you are even from the back of the bleachers. You're closer to the field than you would be from the front row at Raymond James Stadium.
Wow.
The players are there, that they sign autographs at the end. Just a real fun atmosphere. The expectations for this team are sky high, and you can feel it. There's just a buzz there, and be able just to sort of take my notes and then put them in order, and then I jump on and I put it in a voicemail, and I send it to Brent, and he's cool enough to splice it all together so it sounds okay, and then off we do it, and we're getting a lot of downloads, more than I thought, honestly. We were discussing a little bit of the numbers, and I think we're close to like 3,000 if I added right. I mean, it might be more, and we just got like another 20 this past hour. So people they're liking it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some, compliments on direct messages on Twitter saying how they really like it. And, they're going to be out at camp this day and they want to meet me. And so I couldn't be happier. I'm sort of living the dream.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love what you're doing. This is kind of a solo project for you. I'm just, I'm in the lab, producing it and pushing it out. Like, you're the one who's actually doing the vast majority of the work. Ren, let me ask you this. There's a lot of different ways that fans can keep up with what's happening at training camp if they can't be there. Because let's face it, most people are not going to be able to go to training camp every single day. What is it that you think what is it that you're doing that's a little bit different maybe from everybody else? Or, what are people going to find from the training camp journal with Ren that they're not maybe going to get somewhere else?
Well, I'm doing it for a fan's point of view. I call it the fans in the stands, boots on the ground. I'm sort of answering the questions that you have. The kicking battle is a big question. Fans that are really in the know, they want to know who the slot corner, like who's winning that. The Sam linebacker, is it Bond or is it Beckwith?
Mm-hmm.
And then little pieces of information that sort of slide by. I don't want to say the big guys, but sort of like how Wilcox is also, he's playing safety, and he's also playing nickel corner, which might free up a roster spot. Little stuff like that. Uh-huh. And then I'm also doing interviews with some of the fans, some of the media members. I got to talk with my, the first time I met them, but I consider them my friends, the guys from Real Bucks Talk, who gave me my first shot, and we watched practice together. It was real fun to sit next to them and talk Buccaneers football. And then afterward, we did a little short 5-minute interview. Just you seeing things from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, it's just a lot of fun. Basically, I guess the best way you could describe it for people that haven't listened to it yet, after practice ends and they all go in, they write their pieces, and they sort of get a training camp breakdown. Like, Pewter Report will do one, or Riley, who's now with Sportsbook Nation, will do one, and Joe Bucks fan does one, and like, this is what I saw at camp today.
Right. It's
the exact same thing, except it's a podcast. They're running somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. None's gone over an hour, and you download it, you pop it in, and go on about your day, and whatever you're doing, and just listen to what happened at training camp. People seem to be taken to it. Really pleased.
Yeah, if I could argue with you on that, because it's not just like what those guys are doing, and I'll tell you why. Because like for me, I can't stay on top of everything that is coming out regarding training camp. Like, I've got 2 small kids in the last days of summer. I've got a kid who's getting ready to go to kindergarten for the first time, and he's amped up about that. I've got a house I'm still trying to unpack from moving. I've got a honey-do list that is growing by the day. Like, I just can't. I would literally just be on Twitter for 4 hours every single day, watching little videos and stuff. So what I have found in your show, and yes, I'm a little bit biased talking about this, but I don't care. It's our show, and we do it the way we think is good. But what I found is you give me an idea what's happening with camp from the stands. Like, and it's not just what's happening on the field. Like, I think from the media, we mostly get what's happening on the field, what happens in the pressers, and that's really about all that we get. But you're doing this cool, like, fan in the stands experience. Like, I feel like I'm sitting in the bleachers and I can feel the fat guy next to me who's, 140 degrees, and oh my God, it's so hot. And hey, look, there's ice pops coming, getting thrown one in my face, and there's a bus driving right behind me, and it's I've got my cushy seat, but man, look at all those jokers over there that'll start trying to get in the gates. Like you're putting me into camp, if that makes sense. And that's what I really like about Training Camp Journal, and I think it's honestly what's different about yours, which makes it unique. So guys, that is coming out. Training Camp Journal is coming out every day that there's an open practice. And you mentioned the numbers. You're right. The numbers are doing fantastic. I was a little worried that, as day 1 bleeds into day 2, which bleeds into day 5, which bleeds into day 7, that, the numbers would kind of drop off. But, fans out there, you guys are going back and listening to them all. And it's been real fun to see. And here's what numbers mean: people, right? Numbers translate. It's not the number itself; it's the people behind that. Like, it just means
numbers mean fans.
Exactly,
Buccaneer fans.
Exactly, Buccaneer fans that we can relate with. So, I love what is happening out there. And like I said, I know I fully understand that I am biased, but we talk about, like, how do we do this different from everybody else? I think this would be a good way, and I think it's working. So with that, now listen, on today's show, we're really going to be focusing in this segment on a lot of what's covered in the journal, the Training Camp Journal. But there's also some things that aren't really covered, Ren, things that you don't get to see. And here to help us with that, we've got Trevor Sikkema here with us. Trevor, you have been, along with Ren, at training camp every single day. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you so much for taking some time out. I know you're super, super busy right now.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back on the show. I remember I was talking to you guys about the draft a couple of months ago now, and you said, hey, we'll link up back when football starts again, and here we are.
Yeah, well, I promise you, at the end of today, I will say, hey, let's get you back on the show again, and so we'll get that going in a little bit. So Trevor, we're talking all about training camp, and Ren has been doing his show, Training Camp Journal, which is really a fan in the stands kind of viewpoint, giving us the view of the fans and what all is going on. But you're not necessarily in those stands. You're over in the media tent. Give us an idea of what it's been like these last couple of days. You actually got to be there today, even though the general public wasn't able to be there. Give us an idea of what you're seeing in training camp. Just kind of put us in your seat and show us what's going on.
Yeah, no, I'll first say that, I love what Ren is doing and what a couple other people are doing. Like, you definitely need both. You need the media side and you need a pure fan side, because it's good. It's good to weigh different observations. People who are in the stand as fans are going to see something that the media is not, just because, we listen to either what the coaches say or this or that. And sometimes we get a little fixed on our mindset, and a fan could give us an outside perspective that's good. And then on the other side, obviously the media has the access that they do to hopefully inform the fans a little bit better. And I was right where Ren was last year doing this stuff, and it's kind of crazy this year. It's and in a good way. It's definitely weird for me. It's my first year doing it on the media side, but I will say that just that inside information, kind of that ability to have the access to talk to the players after a performance or before a performance, getting to know them in the OTA or mini camp or whatever it is before training camp kicks off, seeing their personality, maybe seeing how confident they are, what they're looking to improve upon. That's the stuff that's really been the difference for me this year. Is I've had a much better foundation going into training camp. It's funny because I've already been wrong on a couple of my predictions of who I thought was going to show up because of that. But I've also been right on a couple ones that I would not have seen otherwise if I hadn't been kind of, tipped off here and there from sentences or little ways that people say things and with the coaches or the players. But so I definitely think that's
Trevor,
the difference.
Can you give an example of like a prediction maybe you made and then how it maybe turned out right or wrong?
Well, okay. So just for an example here, I thought Darrell Walker, who is doing fine, like he's doing fine, by the way, but I thought that he was really going to blow up. I thought that he, near the end of the mini camp, I thought he had a fantastic third day of practice, and I was like, man, this guy is going to make the team and be the last wide receiver. And a couple people, I just on the flip side, a couple people were saying like, oh, well, this or that about Bobo Wilson from Florida State. And I was just like, yeah, but you could kind of find small receivers anywhere. And I was kind of discrediting him. Well, it turns out that Bobo's had a fantastic 4 days of camp, and he's really been the guy that's going to emerge has emerged really on the cusp of that fifth wide receiver they could possibly take, and he's really standing out to me. So just little stuff like that, guys who I thought might make the team here who are, and okay, so like here's an example of where I was right. If that was an example of where I was wrong, everybody assumed, because I obviously have to pump myself up and tell myself when I'm right. If everybody kind of assumed, hey, Fitzpatrick, they paid him all this money, he's going to be the backup quarterback, no question about it. They're either going to cut Ryan Fitzpatrick or Ryan Griffin or whatever. And I actually predicted in my 53-man roster that they're going to keep all three quarterbacks. And people said, well, why are they going to keep all three? That doesn't make any sense. That's wasting a roster spot. True for certain situations. And I said, Fitzpatrick has not looked nearly as good as we want him to, nor has he for his entire career. He's a gunslinger, and they like that he's on the team because if he was consistent enough during camp, that would give them a possible arm to – we talk about if Jameis goes down for like 1, 2, 3 games. If you have a guy who has the arm and has the mentality to make throws to win you football games, that's better than getting basically a substitute Alex Smith and Ryan Griffin who would just game manage the crap out of it and you hope the defense lets you win. So I said that they were going to keep those three because that backup quarterback spot's going to be a lot closer than you think. Here they are. Fitzpatrick's is absolutely hot and cold, and Ryan Griffin's actually had a couple of nice throws here and there. In fact, he got reps with the second team today. He moved up from the third team. So just little things like that where I think that I've picked up from being a media member and having that extra access to the team and extra time to analyze or maybe think about things that has kind of helped.
And speaking of roster spots, you brought up with the 3 quarterback things. I read your cover 3. I always read your cover 3. It's a must read.
I appreciate it.
Hey, it's one of the things that when I wake up, and I hope I don't get the day wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. I wake up. Go ahead.
It's supposed to be Tuesday, but
that's right.
They take up a lot more time than I thought they originally would. So a lot of people got to catch them the next day. But I'm all right with that, I guess.
So when I wake up, it's like okay, it's cover 3 day. Like that's one, I'm starting the coffee and I'm searching for it on Twitter so I can get to the link and read your stuff. I was shocked about the 3 quarterbacks as well. Dirk Cutter's come out and pretty much said he'd like to only carry 2, but their logic in your article, you could follow it, and you're absolutely right. We have seen, which was sort of a surprise to everybody yesterday, how Wilcox is now sort of double dipping, doing double duty as nickel. They've moved also Josh Robinson pretty much to safety from corner. And then Judah Jabbercast, he seems to be, I heard today he was running as the second string outside cornerback and not a lot of nickel. And that's pretty much been as of right now, Javian Elliott seems to have solidified at least these first 4 days. So those are kind of spaces where they can pick up that extra roster spot. So is there anything like that I really have no idea where I'm going with this question. I just wanted to kind of
he wanted to make sure that we knew he was there on those first 4 days to notice where those guys play. He wanted to make sure we know.
I think that's probably actually true.
Trevor, I tell you, Ren, he's been knocking on all the doors looking for jobs. Like he's over at Pewter Plank and What the Buck and Real Buckstock for a while. He might be knocking on Pewter Report's door here soon.
Hey, I respect it, man. He's been all over the place. It's been good. I love when people do that.
Okay. I actually really have a real question. Everyone's been very excited, at least the Buccaneers fan base. Buccaneers Twitter's been blown up, has been since the draft. High expectations for this team. I know as a media member, even when you go into the press box, you have to be constantly reminded, like, you're not allowed to cheer for the team. And
sure.
We were talking a little bit off air. It's like, you're invested in the team, but you can't say it. Sure. But is there this feeling over there, by the media tent that all the media members can you feel that they're more amped up than I can't really say years past because it's their first year there, but is this expectation and the media members are sort of excited as the fans are?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is my first year here, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But I mean, plenty of people. There's things to talk about. There's what are they going to do here or what are they going to do there? But it's not in a they're screwed kind of a way. It's like it probably has been in years past. Like they were overthinking positions or were underthinking positions or talent or things like that. It's kind of like, wow, the possibilities are endless here. And being a member of the media too, you get to know the players, and where you can't root for the team, you want to root for these guys. And you can, I mean, you don't actively do this on game days, obviously, like during the event, but in terms of getting to see these guys put in the work and, put their time back into the community and things, and just be like good people along with good football players, you want them to do well in life. You want them to achieve their goals. And so in that sense, yes, we do have a rooting interest, but it's a people interest kind of a thing. It's cool when you get to know and invest in a player and thing. And that's also why it's hard sometimes when they get cut and you let them go. And that's just the business of things. And that's the way that it is. So we don't really root for the team itself. It's fun to see these good guys get to accomplish what they want, but there's definitely an excitement, man. People, we'll be working at our computers and then, somebody, they'll almost be like, I don't know, like 20, 30 minutes of silence, people just writing and stuff. And then somebody around the media room will chime in. They'll be like, hey, did you see what they were doing with Howard today as a second tight end? And then everybody will kind of chime in and this and that, and then you get a little conversation going. And so that's a fun part of being in the media, definitely, that you get to see that there's an excitement with it because, we want to write the stories too. We want to write about greatness. We want to get to tell about the tales of success and how they did it and where they came from. As journalists, that's an awesome thing. And so there's definitely an excitement from the media side too about having the opportunity to get to tell some great stories as a possibility when hopefully the wins come for this team like they think that it's going to.
So Trevor, let me bounce off of that just for a second.
Sure.
And if you could explain that to me, the idea that you can't really root for the team. Like I can kind of understand that from like a national standpoint and like from the guys that are talking about it on TV, like they have to be unbiased. Certainly the refs are supposed to be unbiased, but I don't get why local I might possibly even understand why like Greg Almonds, who works for the Times, has to do that. But you're with the Pewter Report. You guys cover the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On the other side, I'm sure that when the Bucs are winning, your numbers are way up, and you guys get more money for. Like it's good for business on your side when the Bucs are winning.
Correct, it is.
But I don't. It blows my mind. Like I had your boss Scott Reynolds on the show last year, and I asked him kind of about his fandom with the Bucs, and he's like, you really have to. He didn't even say it's separate. He said it just kind of takes the fandom out of it from you.
It does a little bit.
And I was going to ask you even about Scott, like, hey, now that things are kind of cranking up, like, I can't imagine that you get into this without having at least some level of fandom going in. Like, is that getting stirred up in Scott? But why can't you actually cheer for the team? And I mean,
you're not writing for the Times,
right? Like, you're writing for the Pewter Report. Like we're fans. I would not call us media members. I would not call us reporting on the team. We're talking about the team. Like why can't you guys do that? I that just blows my mind to have that as a thought.
It's just it just goes back to an objectivity thing, and you just want to make sure that you want to make sure, and this is why. You want to make sure that what happens on the field and what happens in the locker room and what happens on draft day, you can report on as it is, as it happens. You don't want even though we write for a site that literally has the word pewter in it, you do not want to, hey, if the Bucs pick a guy, if the Bucs make a stupid move, you don't want a media outlet, or you wouldn't want your media outlet to not be honest with you. And that's, I think, what it comes down to. Yes, I mean, you have to be realistic about all this. Obviously, we all love the game of football. Why? Because we grew up watching it. Like we rooted, we cheered here and there for whatever. We have cheered at some point. We can't be ignorant and say that has never happened. And so that's not really what we're trying to do. Like I grew up in the Tampa Bay area, so I've been watching this team forever. But when I become a member of the media, I have a responsibility to tell the truth, not to tell what best benefits the team or something like that. So yes, I mean, in terms of, I think the fandom, like what you're talking about, and you will see this because I think I'm going to be running Pewter Report's Twitter account on game days, which is going to be fun, by the way.
Right.
I'm very excited for that. So like when stuff happens, you're going to see me type in all caps. Like you're going to see me use GIFs. You're going to see me use like different forms of either comedy or excitement when the team does something, either good or bad or whatever it is. And in that, there is a sense of fandom that will always exist, like you are talking about. Yeah. But when they say that you just can't root for it, it's just simply an objectivity thing. They just want you to make sure that whatever is actually happening, you can report wholly and honestly with an opinion that doesn't sway like you rooting for the team, and so that's like Joe Bucks fan, for example. It's much more prevalent in something that's literally like called like Joe Bucks fan. Right. That's just like what they do. So you could probably see it a lot more than they do. Now it all depends how also you want to build your brand. Could I understand why a little bit more fandom would be in something like Joe Bucks fan? Yeah. Am I okay with that? Yeah, sure. I don't really care. Pewter Report, and just the way that Scott has done it, has tried to be a little bit more like a newspaper-ish because it used to be magazine-ish. But sure. It just depends how you want to build your brand. And the team just likes to cover their bases, certainly, with objectivity when they put things like that. Because there's a giant sign. I don't know if you knew this, but there's a giant sign in the press box that says there is absolutely no rooting for either team when you are in the press box.
No, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
And that's in every single NFL press box, every single one. And I'm pretty sure it's in every single professional press box or whatever. You just can't do it. And they just want to make sure that objectivity wins and that truth wins overall. Now, you can flirt with that line plenty, but yes, that's the situation.
Well, Trevor, if I ever get the chance to sit next to you in the press box and, Jameis breaks out for some big scramble and tosses it down to Mike Evans for a touchdown, I might give you a little high five under the table.
I'd be cool with that, but it's got to be on the table. I will say this though, little insider story. Scott was telling me that when he said, I don't remember many times in the press box when there were cheers, but when Michael Spurlock returned the first ever Buccaneers kick return for a touchdown, he said there were some people who like put their fist in the air or gave it like a hell yeah or something, just and that's a little moment of, you could tell this is all human. It's a game, it's a business and everything, but at the same time, there's a human element to it. And it's cool to see that still is a thing in the press box, even when you're trying to be as professional as you can be.
So let me ask you this. So speaking as a media member and getting some of the access that you've had, a lot of us have gotten to watch the press conferences and the various things. What are maybe some things that we haven't seen that, things that Buccaneers.com hasn't necessarily put out, or maybe something that happened between the cameras and the recorders rolling, or maybe some conversations that you're allowed to talk to us about, or anything like what's maybe some stuff we haven't seen that maybe you've gotten to see?
Like coming off of the press box, or like, what do you mean? Just or like anywhere?
All of it, anywhere.
Tell us everything you've ever seen. Go.
A lot of this, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I mean, a lot of the stuff we publish. There's not a ton of stuff that goes. There's really not a ton of stuff that goes unnoticed that you're not writing about. There really isn't. And kind of like, if it is, I'm not allowed to tell you all about it because it's, you have these conversations with people kind of off the record. A funny little thing that I learned today. This doesn't exactly answer your question, but it's something off the record that you would never know probably unless they choose to show it. But so for Hard Knocks, they tell the players, they're like, hey, we're not here. Don't look at the camera. This isn't like a reality TV show. Like, we are a fly on the wall. We're supposed to be there, but not there. Don't look at the camera. Don't address the camera. Nothing. So Greg Allman told me today that every time Robert Ayers sees a Hard Knocks camera, he just straight points at it and goes, Hard Knocks, what up, baby? 2017. Or like just straight up just looks into the camera and blows it for him, whatever shot that they were about to get. And Greg said he just laughs the whole time afterwards. And so I don't know why people weren't saying that Robert Ayers was going to be a Hard Knocks personality, because he's like, that dude is as real as it gets. So
yeah, he's great.
So I don't know. I don't even know if they might like turn that into a little bit of a joke. Like Hard Knocks mightn't show it, or they're just straight up not going to show Robert Ayers in camp like at all. Right. They're going to cut every scene with Robert Ayers in it.
If they were smart, they would absolutely put that in as a running joke.
I think so too, right? I mean, I think to me it's hilarious.
I've got a Robert Ayers story that Trevor probably like. I know we're going up against bumping up against the time here, but I think
no, go ahead, please. I'm all for Robert Ayers stories.
Okay, so there's two. It started off where one day Robert Ayers tweeted out this. Somebody made this video about why Batman's not a real superhero, and it's dubbed over. It's basically because he didn't have any superpowers. And at the end, Batman calls Martian Man, booger face. There's lots of other stuff in there that makes it hilarious. So I tweeted Robert Ayers. I'm like, oh man, you better have your Saturday free. This is months ago. And I'm like, you better have your Saturday free because you're going to have to defend yourself all day with these Twitter trolls. And he's like, nah. And next thing I know, I'm in a 3-hour Twitter conversation with Robert Ayers about how Batman's not a real superhero. I turned into that guy. And then he put up a picture of his McLaren, and it's Tennessee orange, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, I put something out there. It's like, wow, that's a cool Gator orange McLaren there, Robert.
Oh, no.
And he's like, what? And I'm like, well, you have two choices. Like, either Batman's a superhero or that's Gator orange. And he was like, and he goes, I guess it's Gator orange. So,
wow.
Yeah, welcome to the swamp, Robert.
Jeez, he is that heavy on that Batman stance.
He is, man. That was the one I thought that was the one I thought I could get him to flip on. It's like, you have to disavow University of Tennessee and be a Gator, and he's still stuck with Batman's not a superhero.
Wow. Noted Gator fan, Robert Ayers. That's good. That's good.
So that's all I got.
So Trevor, anybody else like that might be sticking out to you that might be a fun watch for Hard Knocks? Because we'll be talking about in our top 3 coming up. The top 3 things that we're looking forward to or we're excited about to see on Hard Knocks. Like anything else maybe that you're looking forward to seeing on Hard Knocks, or even just as you're looking, you say that's going to be good when it shows on air?
I think, well, for people, a lot of people are saying Quan, and I think they're obviously going to feature Quan. Donovan Smith today said Joe Hawley.
Yeah, I saw
didn't think that was going to be a thing, but I guess it is. But honestly, I was super excited when they announced Hard Knocks. A couple other media members were like, "Oh, it's going to be awful. They're going to get all the exclusives, this and that." One, like they've like never been in the way, like at no point in camp. It's basically like they're not even there as media members. So that was all way overblown for like media people complaining about it. And two, because we're there all the time and I get to see what I see, both from, walking along the stands, what fans could possibly see, after practice, seeing what fans could see, and then obviously going to the media side and things like that, getting to hear quotes and conversation. I'm really interested just to see how they spin all that, because I have my own perspective of it, and then they're going to have their own with it. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most, and that goes hand in hand with it being my first time in the media. I'm just looking forward to see how they spin even more access, because I think there's going to be plenty of it that obviously I'm not even seeing right now, because they get to go into all the offices and this and that. And I know that they were filming for, I think, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before training camp even kicked off. They were at the Sean Jackson's house. They were filming another guy going fishing. So yeah,
that great clip about Jameis at his house he grew up in with the roaches. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you gotta see! Oh my God, you gotta see this. It's basically like, hey, it's Jameis's house, and it's a faraway shot, and he's sort of walking up the stairs, and he's talking to him, and he's like, oh look, these roaches, they're mating, and no, they're having babies, no, they're mating, and then he goes, it's Mother Nature at its finest. At the very end, he looks at the camera.
Uh-oh. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Oh, wait.
Are we good? Did I ruin the story?
Trevor,
right,
are you
the punchline. Yeah.
What? That was it. I don't don't know. What happened? We're gonna cut.
Can you hear me?
No, it was no. What happened was, like, Ren was talking. He says, look, they're having babies, and then at the very end, Jameis was,
and there was nothing.
And there was nothing.
Oh. Okay. Well, okay, they're having babies. Okay, and then at the very end of the clip, anticlimactic, he looks right in the camera and goes, "I'm like the crocodile hunter, but with cockroaches."
Exactly.
Thank you for laughing. I know, it is incredible.
Jameis is such a cool dude.
All right,
He is, and go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ren.
No, I was just going to agree with him. It's like, when he first got here, it was hard to believe that he was that genuine and that giving and that sacrificing. And he's flipped, just about the whole entire. Anybody that was against him, there's always going to be like 1 or 2%. But he made a believer out of me, and I was skeptical him coming in. He's just he's my favorite player of all time as a person, let alone as an athlete, and he gets a quarterback my team. So I'm really happy with him.
So, Trevor, I know, as Ren said, we're kind of bumping up on our time. So I've got 2 more questions, and then I've got one favor I need to ask of you before we let you go.
Let's do it.
So one question that I have is, last year, Dirk Cutter's first year in Tampa, a lot of the news that was coming out about training camp last year was that this was the most I forget the exact words they used, but they're like, this is the most hard-hitting or the most professional or the most fast-paced, or like they just said that training camp had a different feel about it last year than it had had since the John Gruden years. I know you said you were kind of there last year in Ren's spot, like as a fan, but now you're there as a media member. What are some things that you're noticing about how year 2 of Dirk Cutter in training camp is different than even from last year? Like anything popping up this year? So
I guess it would be a sense of, and I don't mean this to sound like super cheesy, but it would be a sense of family. Like the team didn't have that much turnover from last year. Right. And you have a first-year head coach. Mike Smith is defensive coordinator. They're basically installing both the offense and the defense, getting to know their players at the same time. And a couple of these players are starting to get to know themselves at the same time too. And just like this year and this training camp, Gerald McCoy said before camp, they asked him, what's the biggest difference going into this camp? And he's like, well, I've never been a part of a team that's as close as this team, like as close-knit as this team. And Mike Evans was talking to somebody else, and they're like, what's the difference between this year? And he's like, it's fun, man. Like, all this is fun. We're all learning from each other. We're all teaching each other, doing this. And you could see that on the field, too. Like, something will happen, like a rep will go by where the defense will do something, and like a guy will fall or a guy will like miss a route or this thing like that. And it's almost like the defender will tell him, like, yo, dude, like, here's how you can beat me. Like, almost like telling him, like, how he can win the route, like doing it, like just because he knows that person on the other side, that person on the offensive side of the ball, his success depends on their success. And when you can see somebody put that aside, that means you got a close-knit group. And I think I've noticed that this team's having a lot more fun. There's, and not to say like last year wasn't, but I think because they're just in year 2 of both this offense and this defense, you can see the communication. Like when Mike Smith was talking about earlier in the offseason, like, oh, well, now we're getting into year 2. And you heard Quan and Levante David say, well, now that we all know each other, like we know what the other pieces of the defense can do. Now it's about working as a unit. Holy cow. Like day 2 was one of the most dominant defensive practices I've ever seen. Like the offense could, like even in a drill where it was 7-on-7, right? It's the most offensive friendly drill in the world. Okay. Not only was it 7-on-7, they didn't even have pads on. So the defense can't bump them at all. There's no pass rush. And I think there was one pick during that drill, and there were batted balls and incompletions all over the place. And that wouldn't really I wouldn't have even said like the quarterbacks were bad in that drill. It was just the defense was that good. Mm-hmm. They know what they know what everybody else is doing. So that would be when you talk about something being like hard hitting and intense. And I think last year was a lot about setting the tone. It was about Cutter gaining the respect he needed to from his teammates and from a bunch of guys that, there were new pieces that hadn't played together or hadn't started together or this or that. And I think that was important last year to have that. But this year you're seeing much more of a, there's a lot less turnover. I know I've read that article that Ren had about Light's turnover with the team in the last 4 years. And then you get to this year and wow, there's not nearly as much. It's not nearly as steep. I was going to say, while you're sitting here talking, I was just going through in my head, writing down the people that are not with the team anymore that were here last year. I got 7 people. Like that's it. right? Like,
I can't think of any more. Yeah, and two of them retired.
Right. And so like, it's just, I would say that's the difference this year, is that you could just notice that sense about guys, whether they're talking in the mic or whatever, like they're genuine about it. They really believe that. It's not just they're saying it for PR.
So let me bounce off of something you said there. You're talking about the defense and how well they're doing. You know, one of the things that as a fan, I know that I keep hearing is how good this offense is supposed to be. It seems like a lot of this offseason has been focused on how we have improved this offense. But the thing that's been in the back of my mind is the defense going to come back and be as good as they were in the second half of last season? Are you seeing that? Like, does this defense still look like that stout second half of 2016 that we saw? Like, is that going to stay kind of the same, you think?
On paper, yeah. And I mean, like in training camp, yeah, like I said, day 2 of the camp, they were pretty dominant. And I think they've improved in the areas that they need to improve on. The nickel corner position still like a little shaky to me. Javian Elliott, I know, is the guy, and he's had some splash plays here and there, but training camp is different than the regular season in the NFL. So that will be shaky for me until I see him playing in the regular season. But for example, I think I was talking about this the last couple of days. Safety was pretty much known as the most shallow position on the team going into the offense, right? And now Conti looks like he's improved a good deal. Keith Tandy's obviously still doing his thing. J.J. Wilcox looks like a great addition. And then Justin Evans is incredibly athletic, and it's only a matter of time before he gets his feet wet and can get some confidence himself and possibly. So when you look at the areas that they have needed, and you say, they went on that stretch and a big deal of it was because of the defense, how well they were playing. Well, a lot of those pieces are still here. They didn't go anywhere. And the areas that they were thin on, the safety mainly, and then just front line size, they added to both of them with good talent. And so I guess my answer to that would just be, yeah, it should. It should be. It should have the potential to be what we think it could be. But, we'll have to wait and see. I will say this too. Like the linebackers, David and Alexander, the pads came out today, and they were so excited to have the pads come out. They were being physical with everybody. They were bumping people all over the place. In fact, at one point, Jeremy McNichols caught a swing pass out from the backfield. Quan Alexander's on him one-on-one, tracks him down, and just like shoulders him to the ground, just straight to the ground, basically just like a I can finally hit people thing. So that would be my long-term. That would be a long answer to that.
All right. Well, so my next question, I said I had 2 questions, one favor. Question number 2.
Yes.
And this one might be the one where it gets you a little bit in trouble. But what are some of in the media tent, with those guys that you're in there, like what are some of the antics and stuff that you guys get up to over there? Or is everybody just being nerds with their heads down working?
I've got to be honest. I'm not in the media tent enough to know. I'm walking around all the time.
He is. He's all over the place.
I'm not paying attention enough to the people. I'm not around. But I'll kind of like stand near people for a little bit, but no more than like 2 or 3 minutes before I'm off working, getting a different angle or getting a different video or something like that. So I promise that answer is not like a setup of look at me, I'm doing a good job. But I really can't. I can't even answer the question.
I'm too busy working.
Because but I
so
think that
you're not getting hazed at all. Like, I know the rookies out on the field are getting their little bit of hazing in the locker room. You're not getting any kind of rookie media guy hazing going on. I've
gotten rookie media, not in camp, but just for the last 6 months. Like I'm the guy who lugs around all the podcast equipment. I'm usually the dude who's got to post all the articles on the social media and things like that. But no, nothing in training camp, nothing like that, I guess.
Well, we're going to have to call Greg and Rick and Roy and all those guys and get them on it. So, well, Ren, before I get to my favorite, do you got anything else you want to ask Trevor here before we let him go?
No, I'm good. Cool. He's been more than free with his time for us, and he's always such a great guest, and his stories are so great. So you ask him. So after we've done all this and pushed past our time, let's ask him a favor and go.
Yeah,
let's do it.
So here it is. So Trevor, you may or may not be familiar. Back in January, we had a little thing called the Pewtercast Award Show, where fans got to vote.
Actually, I'm in on this favor as well.
Yeah. I thought you might be.
I know what he's going to ask. So I really want to know this as well.
So fans got to vote. And fans voted. We did a thing. We awarded a bunch of awards, best player, MVP, whatever. We actually got trophies, and we had them engraved, and we sent them to $1 and had them passed out to the players.
Oh, wow.
Which I assume they received them. I know Dirk got his. He sent me a letter, which was awesome. But we sent them a letter.
That's really cool.
So here, and they look like miniature Lombardi trophies. Okay,
I got a picture. I'll tweet
Lombardis.
it to you. I'll tweet it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
So here's my favor is if you're around and you see any of those, like if one might be hanging out in somebody's locker, or if there's one like on a shelf somewhere, maybe in Cutter's office if you happen to get in there, or anywhere. Mike Smith has one. Any of those guys. If you see one, will you do me a favor and just kind of like grab it and bring it towards the front? See if we can get it on Hard Knocks.
Just take a picture.
Or just take a picture and send it to us. I don't care. Tweet it.
Just take a picture. No, don't go reaching into a player's locker.
Gotta go all 007, get in the air vent, knock down, spray the thing so I can see the laser beams, do a little somersault, put the trophy up front and center.
That's what I'm saying.
If you insist.
Get it there.
If you insist.
Yeah, get it there. And Riley Allman, he's in on this, so you and him can kind of be in cahoots. And I just said cahoots on the show. So Trevor, if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate that. But hey, more than that, Trevor, I know we said it earlier, and I'll say it. I'd really love to see if we can't get you back on the show, later on this season.
Yeah, guys. In terms of the trophy, if I ever see it, I'll move it to like front and center where they are. Then I'll take a picture, and then I'll tag him in it on Twitter, and I'll be like, "Wow, so nice of Coach Cutter to put this trophy front and center. Big honor." But yeah, guys, no, I mean, like in terms of time, I get carried away with talking to you guys because it's a lot of fun. So we'll definitely have to do this again sometime. Great,
Trevor. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah,
thanks,
guys.
Trevor. See you Wednesday.
Yeah, have a good one. Well, thanks again to Trevor from pewterreport.com. Guys, make sure that you go over there and follow them. Follow Trevor. He's at Tampa Bay Trey on Twitter. And check out everything he's doing, pewterreport.com, especially the cover 3 that Ren talks about. It's really a fantastic article, just super in-depth stuff that he has going on over there. So thanks again to Trevor and honestly to Scott for letting Trevor come over. Really appreciate that. Well, fans, listen.
I can listen to that guy's stories all day, though. Just real quick to cap up. I mean, he's so fun to listen to. And what I like most about Trevor is you ask him a question and he's going to answer it. It could be very well that Robert Ayers, little anecdote he gave that might not make Hard Knocks, but it's here. And if you ask him a question, he's going to answer it. And it's so great to talk to. Like I said, I can listen to stories all day, and every time he comes on, it always sort of makes it a special show. Yeah, and and I don't care what he says about being a fan, not being a fan. We know he's really a fan. We know it's there. He really is. With that, now Ren, let's you and I talk just for a little bit about training camp. We kind of got Trevor's view there, things from the media tent and things that he's seeing, but for people who may not have the ability to catch the journal every single day as it's coming out, though you guys absolutely should. You just give us a quick recap of the first 4 days as a whole, and more of an overall feeling you're having with camp this year. What are you seeing kind of being there on the ground? Yeah, as I was talking about before, our interview with Trevor was, sort of electricity around camp. But I guess the overall feel as far as the team goes, it's almost, you could say, they're delivering as advertised. Jason Jackson's lightning fast. I joke on the journal how he moves at a different frequency. Everything he does, it's just quicker than anybody else out there. It's a little early for Chris Baker. Haven't really got to see him, offensive and defensive lines. Really haven't got to bang until today. Today was the first day of pads, but he actually sat out. J.J. Wilcox seems to be a lot better than advertised, to be honest. He leads the team in interceptions already. He's had pass breakups. He's really an aggressive cornerback, or I should say, defensive back there. And then all the rookies. Howard looks awesome. He's huge. He's fast. He's smooth. The ball just sort of disappears into his hands. Today, like I said, they're full pads. He's really shined in the blocking. Evans, like Trevor was talking about how he needs time to grow and things, but what I like about Evans, you're not hearing anything bad about him. He's not getting burnt. Remember everyone freaked out when Deshaun Jackson ran by Vernon Hargraves.
Yeah.
At OT, and everyone's like, "Oh, Vernon, you're the worst." Blah 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 blah. Like you hear none of that from Justin Evans. So, of course, I would like to, have him pick off the ball every time. Well, maybe not every time. Then there's something wrong with the quarterbacks. But to have all these splash plays, sort of like Wilcox is having, but he's young and he doesn't have to get pushed into this. But he's not really doing anything wrong either. So you're not hearing anything bad from him. But Chris Godwin, man, that guy is as advertised. Excellent body control. You throw it in a zip code, he's going to come down with it. Beckwith is now Kendall Beckwith, the other third-round pick, is now also training at Mike linebacker. Uh-huh. So he gets a lot more reps with the second team, because if you're at Sam linebacker, you're only getting like 65%. You're off the field, so really you're on 35%. So now they're getting him lots of reps at Mike linebacker. He looks great. It's sort of like Dirk Cutter, I think, said that in a presser today. That's really remarkable how far he's come. And he's also said that he's come the furthest from day one. When he saw him, right, he was sort of like scratching his head going, he didn't say, to everybody, "Hey, it's kind of a crappy pick, Jason. What'd you do to me?" But through his tone, when he was watching him, he's going, "Oh, God, like what happened?"
Right.
And he said he's made the most progress, in these 4 practices. So he's picking it up. He's coming on strong. He's getting the assignments down, getting down the scheme. Everything just seems to be clicking. McNichols today was sort of like a Twitter darling. You finally got to see his speed, power, hands combination. He made a diving catch. He made a long run. He made people miss. He ran over people. He could go a long way in sort of figuring out this running back situation that is probably the biggest question mark of all. Like, who's going where and how many are going to keep and who's going to get cut or who's going to get traded. And then you have Stevie T. Again, you really couldn't see anything today. I didn't see anything on Twitter on him, but I'm also not seeing anything bad about him.
Right.
He's kind of been a ghost, but he's had really one day, and he's a defensive tackle. So, the ball's not being thrown to him. He's not being handed the ball. He doesn't get a chance to, knock the ball away from a receiver. So
and he can't go sack the quarterback either.
Yeah.
Like, he can pull up, I guess, but he's not going to cream anybody either.
Yeah. So his best attribute is sort of just, power moves and things like that. And those are the people that are sort of handcuffed the most. But so to wrap it up, all the vets are good. Jameis looks great. Evans looks good. Brent Grimes hasn't lost a step. Vernon's putting on pressure like they wanted him to. He shrunk that initial gap from, like 7 yards to 5 yards. Anybody that's a start. Quan looks good. Devontae David looks. Everything seems to be lining up. Right. No one's injured. Jock Smith is, but it's sort of rare to have one guy on the injury list at this time. Go around the NFL. Teams got like 3, 4, 5 people on the PUP list. The Colts have, Andrew Luck on the PUP list. Everything's lining up roses for this team right now, and it's building, and it's just really fun to watch. So the overall, to wrap up that very long answer, is the team. The roster is showing as advertised, I guess, for me.
That's very cool because, I don't know. It's really easy in the midst of everything, I think, to forget some of the things that we have been talking about over the offseason. That's even coming to my mind like right now. And I know it's going to be hard to do in training camp, but like, what's the next step function Jameis is going to take?
Right.
What's the, is Deshaun Jackson really as fast as he's advertised? I love you say that. People are kind of coming in as advertised. So, and something else that I loved, there was a clip of Cutter from one of his press conferences. I think it was the one from yesterday, maybe the day before, where he was talking about opportunity. And, he said
that was a Hard Knocks video.
Yeah, that's what it was. But he said, not everybody's going to get, no. I mean, this was the one in the presser where he was saying to people, he said, not everybody's going to get the same opportunity. Everybody's going to get the same opportunity that Mike Evans and Quan Alexander get. Like, they're just not. That's not the way it works around here. And some guys are only going to get maybe 3 or 4 chances to do something. And you got to shine in the, that question has been in my mind the last couple of days is who's making the most of their opportunity? And, so you mentioned like a Kendall Beckwith, who it seems like he's making the most of that opportunity. Stevie T,
J.J.
I don't
Wilcox.
know. JJ Wilcox seems to be making the most of his opportunity. Like,
Chris
so
Conti.
yeah, absolutely. Especially a guy, he's the guy that fans love to hate. And, I think for people that are really honest about it when they sit back and talk about it, Chris isn't that bad of a guy. I know we kind of assigned him a bus ticket on the way out of town last year, but
Was it because they didn't like him?
yeah, exactly. And it wasn't because I thought that he was a crappy player. It's just I thought he was gone. I just didn't think they were going to re-sign him. I didn't think where he got hurt at the end of last year, there just wasn't enough splash there to me. I actually thought Bradley McDougald had a lot more splash. I still don't quite know exactly what happened with him, but but Bradley McDougald, one of only, by my count, 7 people who are gone from last year's squad. Like, everybody else is back again. So, I mean, geez. So, man, I'm super excited. And you know what I'm really, really excited for, Ren?
What's that?
Is this Saturday.
Why? What's this
super excited? You know what this Saturday is. Come on.
Yes, I
Come
know.
on. Everybody knows what this Saturday is.
I'm excited about this Saturday.
It's Stick Carrier Takeover Day. Like,
yeah, it is.
Now, regardless if you call yourself a Stick Carrier or not, we're all Bucks fans, right? And I love it. Justin even had something where he came out in the Stick Carrier Facebook group saying, hey, listen, we're all Bucks fans. Like, I love everybody talking about this uniting the fan base, regardless of what you are. And so whether you call yourself a Stick Carrier or not, guys, if you can make it to Tampa, if you're out of town or if you're in town, get there on Saturday. It's going to be something just to be a part of. This is something as fans we all want to be a part of, regardless of what tribe you claim yourself in line with, which I think that's bullshit anyway. I got to be honest with you. It's we're all Bucks fans, whatever you want to call yourself. We're all Bucks fans. So I'm super excited, Ren. I'm going to be there. I'm going to join you for the Training Camp Journal on Saturday.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. So that should be a lot of fun, mostly just because I'll be there. And hey, listen, while I'm there, if for any of you guys are there, I'd love to meet you. I'm real big. I'm real hard to miss. I know there's a lot of other big guys out there, but come find me. I would love to meet as many of you guys that are listeners to the show.
Yeah, I think we should take a picture of ourselves and we'll tweet it out on the account. And then once
that might be a little scary. That might
but I mean, this is what this is what we're wearing today.
Right.
And then once we find our seat,
right,
we could sort of tweet out another picture, or maybe just do it all at once. Like,
we'll
this is where we're
put red
sitting.
and pewter flowers in our lapels, and that's how you know it's us.
No. That's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea.
Maybe.
But no, but I think that'd be the easiest way. And then because I know a couple of people have DM'd me that they want to stop by and meet us.
Yeah.
They've asked me, like, are you going to be there Stick Carrier Day? Because they're listening to the Journal episodes and they know I'm there every day, and they wanted to make sure, like, are you going to be there? And 2 or 3 people that they want to stop by and say hi, and I want them to stop by and say hi. And,
because hey, listen, a part of the Journal is getting to talk to you guys, record that conversation, and we get to put it in the Journal. So we might have our recording equipment out there with us. You might get to be a part of the show. So
we'll have a recording equipment.
We will have recording, even if it's just our phone. We will have recording equipment. You can't not do that when you are in the line of work that we're in. But really, I'm just super excited to be there. And not just for not just to be there with the fans, but there's lots of people that are excited. The team is getting excited. They know that this is coming. The organization does, the team does. So, to kind of see them getting a little amped up about it, about the fan base uniting, about the fan base just getting loud. And I'll be real interested to see. A couple of things I'm looking for is, how loud are the fans going to be? Like, are the fans going to have to be shushed so that coach can actually coach the players?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have hit mute on that.
That's all right.
I forgot I had that mute button. That is a no.
Yeah.
They have put money into their new speaker system because Cutter wanted it louder.
Yeah.
And it is much louder than it was last year.
Does Cutter come over the speaker system?
No, you can't hear a word he says. No.
Oh, okay.
That's where they play the music. And they've got, it's like a tower like you would see at a rock concert.
Okay.
And they have them at either end of the field. And another, since Trevor was on, I'll go ahead and put this out there. He's sort of copied down what the playlist is at practice.
Uh-huh.
And then he, I'm not sure how he does it, but he puts it on Spotify or something.
Yeah.
And you can sort of
That was I didn't know that was Trevor. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so you can download the music that the Bucks are listening to at practice. So their practice playlist, you can download it and listen to it. And you've seen feedback from people. I believe Dave Harrison from the Pewter Plank, chimed in there. He's like, I'm at the gym and I'm listening to the Bucks playlist. It's
That's cool.
Yeah, that's where social media, like, that's where it shines.
Yeah.
Something like that where you can connect with your team in such a simple way. But Trevor thought of it and he put it together, and it's sort of taken off. But to answer your question, no, Dirk Cutter will not be telling the people to be quiet, because you might not even hear him. I mean, it's that loud.
No, that's great. That's cool. Well, yeah. So fans, get out there, join us. We're gonna be there. Come say hi. I don't know, Ren, we might even go to lunch. I'm not going to take everybody out, but you're going to join us. Maybe we'll record live from wherever we wind up having lunch. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure it out when we get there. But here's what we know. We're going to be there on Saturday, Stick Carrier Takeover Day. Join us with the Pewter Cast, as well as about every other Bucks fan you can possibly imagine that's getting out there. So that should be pretty fun. Well, I think that's going to wrap this segment up. And fans, this is where we're going to turn it back on you. We'd like to now know your thoughts on our thoughts on anything we talked about with Trevor, having to do with training camp, or even with Ren, training camp journal, anything that's going on. We'd love to know what you guys are thinking about with training camp. You can do that by shooting us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com, or you can find us out on the Twitter sphere at thepewtercast, or on facebook.com/thepewtercast. We do respond to all forms of feedback, and honestly, it's one of the more fun aspects of being a part of this Bucks fan community. We love getting to interact with everybody. Well, guys, coming up next on our top 3 segment, we're talking about the top 3 things we want to see on Hard Knocks. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Right now, for you, the Pewtercast listeners, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to check out their service. This is a great way to check out Jason Buick's book all about the history of our beloved Buccaneers, the good and the bad. The Yucks tells the story of how Tampa was awarded an NFL expansion team in 1974, and the trials and tribulations, and eventually the victories that marked those early years. It's a Hollywood-type story that you don't want to miss. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/thepewtercast. Again, that's audibletrial.com/thepewtercast for your free audiobook. Welcome back to the Pewtercast. You're listening to episode 41, Training Camp Hysteria. And for today's top 3, we are going to switch gears from talking about training camp from the stands to talk about training camp from the couch. That's right, we are talking about Hard Knocks. Now, before we get into the top 3 list, Ren, let's talk just for a moment about this little show that is coming on HBO called Hard Knocks, and this little after show called Talking Knocks. That's coming up. What do you know about these things?
I've never heard of this Hard Knocks thing. This Talking Knocks show, though, is taking the internet by storm, for what I understand.
Yeah, and its premiere episode happens to be tomorrow night. Like, it's already taking the internet by storm, and it's not even had its first episode. But
the buzz is unbelievable.
It puts
Star Trek Discovery buzz to shame.
It is almost deafening by its buzz.
By its 120 Twitter followers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, listen, Bucks fans. The truth is by the time there'll be a good solid, several hundred. Yeah, there'll be a good solid several hundred, maybe even 1,000 plus of you who get this before the premiere of Talking Knocks. But for all of you guys after, here's the deal. Tuesdays, right after Hard Knocks airs on the East Coast on HBO, we will be using our Instant Cast platform to do Talking Knocks, which is an after show of Hard Knocks, and it'll be a call-in show. You guys can call in, and we'll spend about an hour or so talking about Hard Knocks and what happened on the episode that night, what you thought of it. I would love to have all of that. So the phone number is 864-729-BUCKS. We are doing a premiere episode though this week. It's coming out. We've got so much coming up in August. We've got Training Camp Journal every single day that it's open. We've got this episode. We've actually got 2 more episodes during the month of August, 42 and 43, as well as this one, number 41. We've got Talking Knocks coming up. We're going to have our instant cast back for the preseason games. So we've got just a ton of stuff coming up here in the month of August, but Talking Knocks is one of them. Tuesday nights, right after the show on HBO. Of course, you can get the recording of it on the podcast platform of your choice. We are out there everywhere. So Talking Knocks, make sure you guys join us. But if you're catching this, Tuesday night, August the 1st at 10 p.m. is when we'll go live with the premiere. That is actually the time that Talking Knocks will air. So Hard Knocks will air is at 10 p.m. So we'll just be following whenever Hard Knocks goes off the air. So right about 11-ish, but tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, August the 1st, 10 o'clock, you guys join us for the premiere episode. We'd love to know what you want to see coming up on Hard Knocks. And that's going to lead us, Ren, to you and I on our top 3 things that we'd like to see, excited about seeing on Hard Knocks. So, Ren, I'll throw it to you first. What criteria, if anything special, you used when picking your list here, and what is the number 3 thing on your list?
I've got some good ones, I think. My criteria was not so much what I'm looking forward to, is more of like what I want to see. So these are things that, the kicker battle, that's pretty common. Or see Quan, that sounds like a pretty common one. I hope I didn't take any of yours, any of the ones that you had by saying that. But so these are just more personal things to me. I'm going to start off. Which I think they're doing a good job, sort of like the little promos they're putting out. You've seen the one where Dirk Cutter's sort of talking to the rookies in the auditorium room, talking about, where preparation meets opportunity. That was good. And then that one where Jameis is talking to the little kid and telling him he could be, as long as he can believe it, you can do anything. And then the real funny one about Jameis, the one I talked about earlier on the show and ruined the punchline. I think I actually hit my mute button. That was the reason. Now that I think about it, I think I hit my mute button on my mic on accident. That's probably why I ruined it. But I want to see these. Those seem to be all things that weren't on the field. They weren't during practice. Uh-huh. And I really wasn't interested, to be honest, before I saw those little clips, sort of the behind the off the field, who these guys were, I guess human interest stories about them, until I saw those short clips. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. I do now want to see Jameis sort of in his environment in the house where he grew up. I know they've been to Deshaun Jackson's house. I believe Trevor said that. So those are the things that I want to start to see. Cause I'm a fan of these players, and every little thing that you get, you kind of, become more invested, and then it just sort of increases your fandom. So my number 3, even though it never would have made my list, and I was actually not looking forward to it a week and a half ago, would be sort of the off the field stories of the players.
That's a really good pick. That's not one that's on my list, but it is definitely an honorable mention for me. Because those are just kind of the fun things. I noticed the one about Jameis obviously at home. And, those kind of remind me of those clips that you see during the Olympics, and I mean, as you called it, it's the human interest. It's what makes this person an individual. Or, if you watch, American Ninja Warrior, it's like before everybody gets up and runs, they tell that person's story. Or, they have some sort of package that goes with it before them. Or, America's Got Talent or anything, they all show that. So, but it certainly helps get you a little bit more invested in the person, the human being who is there. And even as Trevor kind of said when he was on, it helps you root for the person. We all root for the team, but that kind of helps you root, definitely individually for that person. For my number 3, I think for criteria, I took the word literally excited, not just what do you want to see, but what are you excited to see? What's got you amped up about Hard Knocks. And considering the fact that I am a Hard Knocks virgin, I've never watched an episode of Hard Knocks at all. So my knowledge of what is going to be on the show is fairly limited. So some of mine might kind of seem like the obvious things, but it's the stuff I've never seen before. And I'm really, really interested in it's things I've thought about. And so for me, the number 3 is probably the general thing of just, I want to see inside the building and those places that even if you go take like a tour of $1 that we really would never get to go, like I want to see the hallway where the guys walk down. I want to see the locker room more than just like the little interview clip that they get where you just like, I want to get like a good feel of what that looks like. I want to see, the training room. Like I want to see those places in and around the building that the cameras are going to get to go to. I want to see what Dirk Cutter's office looks like. And I want to see that little Money Lombardi hanging out on his bookshelf,
Go on, Trevor, counting on you.
Yeah. Trevor Riley, both of you guys, you're our inside men. So do it. So that's kind of what I really want to see the inside of the building. The outside's really cool. I want to see the inside.
Yeah. I think that's as you were talking about, I was getting excited too. And it was starting to, the idea was starting to tumble in my head about like what I want to see. But speaking of that, when you said the tour of $1, no, I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah,
okay.
I was going to go back to an old episode where we had, one of the original names. Is it Jim or James? Jim? Jay McElroy.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Only his mom calls him James.
Right.
Jay and I was talking about how I wanted to have a monument park out in front of the new indoor facility.
Uh-huh.
And then I sort of saw somebody probably 3 or 4 days ago. There, I guess all these statues I talked about, I guess they already have them. Uh-huh. They're in the lobby of $1.
Right.
Like there's a statue of Gruden, like I actually described it, but I didn't know they were there. There's statue of Gruden, there's statue of Sapp, and I think there's one of Lynch. And so basically moving those outside. So, I'm not really sure. This is twice. I'm not really sure where I'm going. But I see what you're saying, and that popped in my head when you said I sort of want to see behind the scenes of $1, and I want to see everything about $1.
Yeah.
How do you where? And this might sound stupid, but where are those cryo chambers compared to, the locker room? Do they have them stored away in some bunker in case they explode? So it does the least amount of damage. Or
right.
Are they right next to Jameis's locker because he doesn't have to walk?
Or has somebody taken up permanent residence in one of those? Is Leroy Selman truly frozen inside of one of those, and we're gonna thaw him out later, and he's gonna come back and play for the Bucs in the future?
That's a bit much.
It's a bit morbid. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean for that to go dark. That went. Rest in peace, Leroy Selman. Thank you for your contributions to the team. You're much loved around Tampa Bay. Keep going, Ren. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, maybe as far as that goes, who uses it the most? Who's the cryo chamber junkie?
Oh.
Yeah, something like that's where I thought you were going with it. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, no.
I want to see him. I want to see him put a rookie in there for the first time when he's not expecting what it's going to do to him or what
first reaction.
Yeah. I want to see that. That'd be fun.
That's probably already in the can. Now that you think about it, and they've been already filming for months. Obviously, they got those little snippets out.
Sure.
So yeah, I like it. It's something I want to see. But moving on to my number 2. Let's see. I'm gonna scratch that one off. I would like to see some Adam Humphries love. I think he's an underrated player. He has a pretty cool story as he started as a tryout player, and now in 2 years he's flipped that into a starting position, a slot wide receiver on a very explosive offense. I've said before, I think it's going to be sort of a 4-man rotation between Godwin, Hump, Jackson, and Evans. But Hump will probably play exclusively slot, and Godwin will play probably exclusively outside, with Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans sort of rotating that slot position. Mostly Hump, but when he's not there, I think it's going to be Jackson more than anybody else. So, but I think it's a great story. He just does what he's supposed to do. It seems sort of like last year when Coach Cutter said Russell Shepard's always someone you're looking to cut.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like you're always trying to look to improve that position, that place on the roster. You're always looking for, to like, hey, we can get, improve that roster spot a little better. And I feel that's what's happening to Hump. And and then training camp comes to an end, and he's there, and then the season ends, and he's got 60 catches and and 600 yards and like 5 touchdowns. You're like, you'll take that from your slot receiver, any year. So I just want to see Hump on there, so he gets some dues, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good pick. Was it you that was talking about Humphreys potentially being a tough cut?
No,
or somebody was, maybe it was Trevor on the Pewter Report podcast. Somebody was talking about specifically Adam Humphreys being a tough cut.
He's not going anywhere. Right.
Well, you're right. I don't think he's going to be anywhere. But you remember we had a top 3 a couple weeks ago about top 3 surprise cuts. If, and this is a big if, Adam Humphreys were to be cut, that would be a big surprise. Like that would be a shocker of a surprise.
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't think he's going anywhere. But I would love to see some and not just Adam, but I mean, like the Cameron Brates, those guys that kind of came in with Jameis and Quan and those guys, but they were the undrafted guys. Did they come in together? Maybe it was a year later. I don't remember.
I think Hump was Jameis's year, but Brate was the year before.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they all came in together. I might be wrong.
If they did, and you include that, what a class that is.
Right, because I mean, it was if I remember, like Brate was with us through training camp, and then we cut him, and he went to like the Saints, and he was on their practice squad, and then we picked him up like 2 weeks later or something. I don't know. It was some weird, like he was in and out and in and back, but I think it was all together. But I mean, but those guys, like the lesser known guys, that's really like I'd love to see those guys, because you remember like even like with Brate, everybody was like, oh man, look at the receiving core. Now they've got OJ Howard as their tight end and Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans, and there's Chris Godwin. You're sitting there going, hey, but we still have Brate and Hump over here. Like, don't forget those guys. Those are pretty stout guys. Like, say what you will. Their touches will probably go down just because you got more people to spread it out with. But, it's okay. Like, I think everybody's touches might go down on some level just because there's more people to spread it out with. So,
I just looked it up.
Yeah.
Hump was it says his season was 2015. So, yeah.
That was Jameis's rookie year. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it says that, going back to Brate real quick, it said he came in the year before, but I'm not sure if he got any playing time. Nope, okay. No, he was on the team in 2014. He got in 5 games and started one with 1 catch for 17 yards.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
So, but still, you could include Hump in that draft class.
Exactly.
Because it was a class. They came at the same time. So Jameis, Quan, Alley, Donovan Smith, and Adam Humphreys.
God, can you imagine in 2 years when we're talking about the draft class from this year, plus some of these undrafted guys that we have that we'll figure out? And remember that was the year of Hard Knocks. Man, that's imagine 2 years from now we're still talking about that draft class from back then. It's been a couple good draft classes. Good pick, man. Good pick. For my number 2, I'm going to something you actually just kind of mentioned a few minutes ago. I'm really excited to see the meetings in the team rooms, the quarterback's room or the wide receivers room, or to even see what these rooms are that everybody keeps talking about the room, like, or even just the big, like the big room with everybody. Cause the one you referenced with Dirk Cutter talking about
the auditorium room.
Yeah. That auditorium room, which, I want to see that meeting too, and things I'm kind of looking for, like not only is what Cutter's saying or whatever coaches, but what are the players doing? Like, are they actually paying attention? Are they taking notes? Are they
picking their nose?
Exactly. Like, those are the things that I want to look at and I want to see, but I'm really excited to see some of that stuff from the team meeting rooms. I do remember seeing a clip. I think it went out on Twitter. It was shortly after Jeff Fisher got fired. And I don't think this was from Hard Knocks. I think this was from that other show on Amazon where they follow the team the whole year. But it was the one coach like chewing out all the Rams players.
All or
saying,
nothing.
That one. He was saying, we got his butt fired. Make sure all of us, we got his, like I want to see that talk, not that talk. No, I don't want to see that talk. I want to see the talks that the coaches give, kind of unfiltered in those rooms. Kind of like what you see on Last Chance U. Have you been watching that at all?
I have not.
That is a great show.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a really good show.
I know there's people on Twitter that, I follow, and they talk a lot about it. They've already blown through the whole season.
Yeah, it's only like 6 or 7 episodes. Like, it's not very long at all.
But they said that was really good. They loved it the first season, and they really liked it the second season.
Yeah, I've made it about halfway through the first episode of the second season so far. The first season was great, so I haven't even watched Game of Thrones yet. I need to go back and watch those. So, priorities, Ren. Hey, speaking of priorities,
what's the priority over Game of Thrones?
Exactly. Your number one. Why don't we get to that?
Okay, get that off real quick. This is something that you could sort of tell was going on during even without pads. Was this matchup between Sweezy and Gerald McCoy? These guys were going at it a little harder and a little longer than all the other offensive defensive linemen. I would have loved to have been there today to see the first day in pads, because we all know what Gerald McCoy is and how good he is. And then the buzz around Sweezy is just like he's a mauler, a mean streak, plays to the echo of the whistle, sort of dances on the line of what's a penalty and what's not a penalty. I saw today on Ira Kaufman's Twitter feed, and it was a quote from Allie where it's like, if this guy gets a hold of you with his hands, it's over. Like, he's just that strong. Like, you're not, it's done. Once he grabs you, he's going to put you and move you wherever he wants to.
Right.
But you could tell that these guys, it was sort of like when you watch Mike Evans and Grimes go at it. These guys are at the top of their game. The best in the business, and iron sharpens iron type of thing. I really hope they get these guys mic'd up and it becomes sort of like an edgy, because if anybody on that team can get Gerald McCoy sort of out of his, we talk about Leroy Selman and Dewey Selman with the Jason Buick interview. If anybody can turn Gerald McCoy from Leroy Selman to Dewey Selman, it's somebody like Sweezy. And I'm really sort of chomping at the bit, and I hope they get mic'd up to watch these guys just like, two supreme athletes just button heads play after play after play after play.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I think it was Baker I saw tweeted out, iron sharpens iron. Those two guys will just help each other get better, with that happening in the practice field. That should be fun. We talk a lot about like the position battles, like who's battling it out for the same position. We don't talk a whole lot about the pride battles, like between the offensive line and the defensive line, like watching those two guys battle it out. And it's this weird thing, like they want to be better than the other, but they don't want to hurt each other, but they want to test each other, and they really want to hit each other. And you got to hit each other in order to actually practice the right way, but you don't want to hurt the other guy because they're actually on your team, but you want to kind of hurt them too at the same, like it's this weird thing.
And a lot of these guys are trying to get a job or trying to win a roster spot.
Yeah. And if that means I got to break your leg, but I'm going to break your leg, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I would think, but I wouldn't say it out loud to anybody. Right. I would say more what you said to start with. I'm holding back a little bit. We're all on the same team. And
right.
Then
sorry I broke your leg. I was just holding back.
I was holding back a little bit.
I would have broke both of them if I was really going. That's funny. For my number one, I hate saying this, but I'm really excited for this one. I got to be I'm excited because this is the one that I think about every year. I didn't even know that they do this on Hard Knocks, but from the way I've heard this described, it's exactly what I want to see. And it's the player cuts and the keeps, not just the cuts, but also the keeps. I'm really excited to see this because I kind of want to see how they do it. I'm always curious. Like, do they just is there a list that gets put up, and if your name's on the list, great. If not, sucks to be you. Do you get a little pink slip in your locker? Like, from what I heard, they actually sit them down in the office and they talk to them, and that's how they do it every year anyway.
Coach wants to see you. Bring your playbook.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that Jason Buick thing, huh? From the Yucks. Yeah, there's fans. If you haven't read the Yucks yet, there's a whole piece where they're talking about the guy who goes around who says, "Coach wants to see you bring your playbook," and that meant you were getting cut. But yeah, I'm personally excited to see that. I want to see what that's like, how that goes. Like what is that? Because I got to imagine when you're okay. So the truth of the matter is, there's 90 guys, right? They're only keeping 53, and then they'll re-sign 10 more a couple days later for practice squad, right? Which if I was a betting man, I'd say they'll probably re-sign 8, and they might leave 2 open for practice squad to get from another team. Like, I think that's generally about how it works, like just law of averages, right? So, you're really going from, let's say, 90 down to 60. So 30 guys are really going to get 29, 31, whatever.
30 sounds good.
Yeah. So about 30 guys. And those 30 guys generally probably already know who they are. Like the guy you've affectionately named Blue Cow, the fourth quarterback on the team, like
Sifo
Lufau.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought I had it in my head. Darn it.
Yeah, Sifo Lufau. He knows he's a camp arm. He knows what that whole concept is. I mean, unless he just does
dragging
something.
the bags around.
Yeah, right. But I mean, he knows that he's there. And what he's really hoping for at the end is to be on a practice squad somewhere. And so he's going to do everything he can to show that out. But he's expecting that cut call to come in. There might be a couple that are kind of on the bubble. It might go one way or the other. There'll be the handful of surprise cuts that happen, I think. But, for the most part, I think the guys that know really know, they kind of know. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they all think that they're going to stay and they're going to be the star players, but I want to see that. Like,
yeah, Mom, I'm just about to, I think I'll have Quan's job by week 2.
Right. Right. I was that dumb once. And honestly, that might be it, because what are these guys, 21, 22 years old? I think that's exactly how dumb I was at 21, 22 years old. And maybe that's exactly what these guys need, is they need to be that dumb in order to get out there and go do this to the ability that they are. So that's my number one, is I want to see the player cuts. And not just the player cuts, but the player keeps. Like, I hope to see that. Like, coach comes in, sits down, talks to him, and says, "And you've made the team. We're going to keep you." Like I want to see that. So, yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah, I don't think I do want to see that.
I think a lot of people don't. I just do.
I mean, I get you. I don't know. It might be just, I don't know. Maybe I do. I guess I heard it described in an article, and it's pretty cliche, but it's the car wreck, train wreck thing.
Right.
Where, you want to slow down and take a peek and look at it, but you don't, you shouldn't, type of deal. So yeah, I don't have that anywhere on my list. But I'm not going to not watch it when it comes on. That's for sure. So I do have a couple honorable mentions. How many do you have?
I got about 3.
Okay. I got 2. You go first then.
Honorable mentions. I want to see the players on the field. I know that seems stupid, but I want to see the meat of training camp. I want to see the guys that are taking advantage of their opportunity. I want to see.
You want to be me?
Yeah, no, I do. I want to be, but I also want to see the superstars. I want to see Jameis. I want to see Quan. I want to see Vernon and Levante and Gerald and Doug and all these guys that I'm on a first name basis with. Like, I want to see these guys. I want to see what they're doing. I want to see why everybody keeps picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be in the playoffs this year. I want to see the fact that we're not just good on paper, that we're actually going to be good on the field. And I know that this isn't a real game yet, although each one of these things is going to end with a preseason game, from the way I understand it. Might work. I don't know. Maybe not the first episode. But either way, like, I want to see that. I want to see that as we head into the season of what should be one of the best seasons in Tampa Bay history, if not certainly in recent memory. So players on the players on the field, I actually just want to see that, the meat of it. I also I don't know why I'm excited to see this. This is just I don't know. Is I want to hear people talking about how hard it is to play in Tampa. Like just how hot and how like I want to see the guy who's puking on the side of the field, because it's so hot.
Anthony O'Clair.
Yeah, like I want to see
Canadian.
Get out there and work, boys. But just it's Tampa. Like I want to hear people talking about it's Tampa. Like it's Florida, but we have no income tax, so woo. So that's one of them. I don't know why I want to see that. I just want to see them doing it. And by the way, there's that new indoor training facility, which would be somewhat air conditioned. So can't wait for that. And then the last one that I want to see is I want to see rookie hazing. Because I'm like that. I am like that.
You have gone so dark this episode.
I know. I'm talking about dead people and cryo chambers and people throwing up, and now I'm talking about rookie hazing.
People losing their jobs and
man.
What is Jacksonville doing to you, Brent?
It's a dark hole here. Jacksonville. But yeah, the rookie hazing. No, because I think it was Greg Allman tweeted out a picture of one of the rookies having to carry a whole bunch of pads and stuff back. And but on none of the pads could you make out whose number it was.
I know.
Like I want to know who is actually making them carry their pads back. I'm sure it's all of them, but I just want to know whose he had. Like
you want to hear something weird, and this is one of those things. I didn't put it in any of the training camp journal episodes, but the last one, the one I did with the guys from Real Bucks Talk, Gerald, you've seen the videos where Gerald sort of steps over into the and actually sits in the bleachers and everyone surrounds him.
Yeah.
And signs all the kids first. Well, when he came over, he was carrying like 4 sets of pads.
Gerald was?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And the first thing popped in my mind is that's something a rookie does. And so the next thing popped in my head was like, oh, he's hiding them from the rookie, maybe, who's supposed to carry them in.
That's
he just laid them there, and they were there the whole time. So I don't know if the joke backfired or whatever, but I did see Joe Hawley's number. That's what kind of popped up in my head, because I saw that one of the sets of shoulder pads and helmet was Hawley. So
yeah, Joe Hawley would do that to a rookie. He absolutely. You know what I think it is?
Joe Hawley would like put rocks in his helmet to make it heavier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he absolutely would. Because I would have done that. Like that's what it is. Like because it harkens back to, for me, when I played football. Like I remember hazing the freshmen in high school. I remember the heat of. I played in Orlando, Florida, so I get what it is playing in the middle of summer. I mean, for summer conditioning, we'd come back and coach would say, "All right, boys, run till you puke." Yeah, and that was it. You had to run until you puked, and then you were done with conditioning for the day. Like that, that was mid-90s in Tampa in Orlando.
Did you just make yourself puke?
You
like this run to you puke and just stand there like don't even move a step.
No, you wouldn't make it. No, because on the one hand, you actually wanted to get the benefit of training out of there, but by about day 3 or 4, you would learn to eat a real heavy lunch. So you would puke faster. Yeah. And eat right before you go out there.
I'm gonna have 3 Big Macs and then go run.
Yeah. But I mean, coach would also sit there and go, "Dude, you puked before you even got around the track once. What? I can't play you." Yeah, like there was that thing. Like
no cheating.
Yeah, like coach would know if you would do something stupid like that, and he'd call you out. But
chugging castor oil underneath the bleachers 5 minutes before practice.
Yeah. And he'd do it. He'd sit there and say, "What'd you do? Just eat before you got here, son? Well, you out there eating you a Big Mac and a but you don't do that tomorrow. It didn't taste as good coming up as it did going down, did it, boy?" Like, that's run till you puke, go. Or he'd come up to you. I swear once he came up and he's like, "No, don't you feel better? Keep running until you puke again."
Yeah, you puked too soon.
You're
you gotta
right.
go. You
puke and rally, boy, go. But no, I think that might be why. That might be why I want to see all this, is because it just reminds. That's
nostalgia.
Like, no, but I mean, like, because I look at what these guys do, and you think, okay, they're going out for a 2-hour practice, and then what do? Like this is your job, right? Like how is professional football different from high school football? And I'm not just talking about the quickness and the hardness and the hitting and the sharpness. I'm talking about just the culture of what it is being on a team, and what it's like to just be out there. Like, yeah, I remember doing that. I want that little bit that's going to make me think at 37 years old, if I got in a little bit of shape, I could probably go do that.
Oh, right.
I know what that's like. I could go do that.
Oh, I
haven't killed my knees over the last 13 years like these guys have. Like I'm fresh. Let's go.
They're about healed.
Right. I mean, my back hurts every morning when I wake up because my pillow beat me up, but I can go play football.
I got pads on.
Right.
I got pads on.
I can play it. There's a trainer. All right. Honorable mentions for you, Ren. What do you got?
I've got one, sort of a silly one, but I think this is something we should do for the show. I think we should keep a running total of media members that photobomb on the show.
Okay.
So like how many times do we see Ira Kaufman, or how many times do we see Trevor, or how many times do we see Greg Altman? How many times do we Mark Cook?
I believe Ira is going to photobomb every opportunity.
I think he's going to take the title. He's going to run away with it. Like by week 2, like everyone else just quit because he'd be so far ahead.
Ira will get the Pewtercast award for something next year. I promise you.
Okay, you're going to rig the category.
He'll be the only nominee.
Yeah. Best Ira Kaufman episode.
And the award goes to Ira.
Ira Kaufman, episode 4. Woo! But I think we should keep running totals to see who's always trying to sneak in the background of the Hard Knocks crew cameras. We should ask that of Trevor when he's here, because Hard Knocks is there. I wonder if he's noticed any of that. And then finally, this one's sort of a serious one. Not too serious, but Buccaneers Insider Live, they sort of got me into, before the guys at Real Bucks Talk, Scott Smith and Casey Phillips sort of gave me the confidence that they'd pick my questions out, and they thought they were good enough questions to read on the air. So it's sort of like, okay, well, then I'm asking the right questions. And then that's when I started, hampering Greg Allman on Twitter. And he was always nice enough to respond to me. Well, most of the time, 90% of the time, a lot more than I probably would respond for how much I sort of asked him all these different questions. And, but it's Scott Smith's like 25th year or 26th year working for the Buccaneers organization.
Wow.
And, I just hope that he gets some sort of recognition that actually, makes it onto the show. And nothing big. I'm not asking the show to revolve around him, but, just, maybe like a 30-second thing where they had made him a cake and, and they brought him in and surprised him. Just something like that. Because you think how long he's been with the Buccaneers, it's sort of like he's been a fan he's been a fan that whole time. That,
I don't know, has he?
Yeah, well,
he's a member of the media. I know he works for the team, but he's
no. He's pro. He's way pro Buck. He's actually. I don't think he's really allowed to say anything bad about the Bucks, or it's not a very good idea. So he is the ultimate. Like, if you want to be a writer or a journalist, and you're a fan of a team, get to be like on the writing staff. And he's been the head writer and editor in chief for a long time now. Obviously, he had to move up a little bit when he first got there, but I just hope he gets a little credit and maybe a little tip of the hat so everybody in watching Hard Knocks, Buccaneers fans, can sort of realize, I sort of tailed off before that because he's had so many crappy years. Yeah, I mean, 26 years. Yeah, he had like those 7 years of the
silver age of Bucks fandom.
Yeah, exactly, the silver age of Bucks fandom. And, and he's always had to be positive and put a positive spin on it. And I think that I just sort of have a soft spot for the guy. He sort of stuck his neck out for me. I would say stuck his neck out. Not like, he put his job on the line. But he's gone out of his way to help me out in sort of this journey that I'm taking through this social media, podcasting, writing, Buccaneer thing that's going on in my life. And like I said, I just hope he gets a little tip of the hat there in the show.
And hopefully him and Casey both make it into as nominees for one of the awards coming up with Pewtercast Award, because they were not. I think people just didn't think about them when they were doing the nominating process. I know I certainly didn't, so my apologies to them. And yeah, no, I think that's great. I think that's, and even, I'll tell you what, Ren, if they don't, we will. How about that?
Oh,
if they don't do it at Hard Knocks, we from the Pewtercast will send them a cake.
Oh, he read my article. Sorry to sound so excited, everybody. On today's, go back and watch today's Bucks Insider. The question part. They had on Mike Greenberg, the capologist, and he said something that was really interesting about how you can roll the cap money over. So if you have extra cap money, you can roll it over to next year's salary cap. And so I quickly tweeted a question, was like, can you roll all of it, or can you only roll like a certain percentage? Like you can only roll 20% or 50% what you have left over. Well, the question ended up being all of it. But the next question after that was, I've been a Bucks fan my whole life. Is this the best roster you've ever seen? And I had just done an article for What the Buck about that, where I compared the 2017 team. I think I told you I was going to do it on the podcast.
Yeah, you did.
So I compared the 2017 roster to the 2002 roster, because who can get any better than that? He wasn't terribly impressed with my outcome, I could tell. but he had read the article, because my question was first and that guy's question was second. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. And Scott goes, "You know what? I just read an article like that." And he goes, "I think it was about," he's like, "Doug wrote it." And that made me feel really good that Scott Smith, read something that I wrote.
That's very cool.
It was really cool.
I
ran over Cheryl, my girlfriend, woke her up. She didn't think it was nearly as cool as I did, but she tried. "That's great, baby," and like rolled back over.
Right.
Okay.
Wow, that's cool, man. So Scott Smith, tip of the hat to you. The word faithful comes to mind with a guy like you. You've been through the good and the bad. Welcome back to the good, my friend. All right, guys. Well, now we'd like to know how your picks stack up against ours. You can let us know on Twitter @ThePewterCast or on Facebook.com/ThePewterCast, or shoot us an email to ThePewterCast@gmail.com. Well, Ren, before we get out of here, why don't we take a look at this week's poll?
It's real bad, okay? I don't like those numbers at all.
Just one poll? Those things aren't scientific.
Yes, they are. All this is science. This is math.
Well, this week we asked, what are you looking forward most to seeing on Hard Knocks? We've already talked quite a bit about that, Ren, but some of the choices we threw out there was to see the players mic'd up, to see the coaches' speeches, to see the locker room drama, whatever's happening in there, or to see the players' cuts. Well, before I reveal who won this poll, Ren, what'd you think about this?
I thought it was, appropriate. It was a good poll. I think it's kind of like, I don't know. Are people going to? I think it was like a race between mic'd up and people getting cut. Honestly, so are either people going to side with your vibe tonight, which is negative and watching people get their dreams crushed, or are people going to be with my sort of vibe tonight, with the mic'd up part? Like I say, because I really want to hear that conversation between Susie and McCoy for like an hour. I'll watch just one Hard Knocks episode of them, jawing back and forth for an hour. So I picked mic'd up.
You picked mic'd up, yeah.
I picked up mic'd up, but I think possibly if anything's gonna, challenge that for the title, it's gonna be people getting cut.
I will tell you this: the first 4 votes in was people getting cut.
Knew it.
Like right in away, the first 4 votes. However, by the time it was all said and done, player cuts only received 17% of the vote.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Only 17%. The very last bottom said locker room drama, which one person said as it should be. Nobody wants to see that. Get that out of here. Which, yeah, I don't want to see locker room drama, but I mean, you imagine there's going to be some. But no, I'm with them. I don't want to see that either. 22% hit coaches' speeches, which if you're doing math along with me, that means 51% of the people out there voted for the mic'd up players.
That's a vote for Ren.
There you
Vote
go.
for Mic'd Up is a vote for Ren.
There you go. Well, they agreed with you. I'm pretty excited about that too, because who wouldn't want to hear their players mic'd up all the time? Well, folks, that's going to do it for this segment. Stay with us. We're going to be right back with your emails, questions, and comments. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, Pewtercast fans, I just wanted to take this moment to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting the show. Whether you've taken the time to leave us an iTunes review, which helps new listeners find us, or you've sent us an email, you've tweeted us, or left us a comment on Facebook, we love interacting with you, our listeners. Or perhaps you've gone the extra step in helping the show out financially by leaving a one-time donation at paypal.me/thepewtercast. Every dollar goes back into making this show the best possible Buccaneers podcast out there. So in whatever way you've chosen to support the show, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we're back. This is episode 41 of the Pewtercast, and it's time for your emails, your comments, and your questions. This is our favorite new segment, though I got to admit, Trevor's was pretty great. It was really great having him on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ren, now you mentioned this a little bit in the latest training camp journal, talking about this particular segment, kind of pointing out the fact we still don't really know what we're calling this thing. Is this the fan interaction segment? Is this the listener interaction segment? Are we going to get a new name altogether? What do you say? What should we call this particular segment?
I like listener segment. Not necessarily. I guess it's sort of splitting hairs, but to call people fans is, I guess in my mind it's sort of like hashtag pompous. So.
Yeah, I get it.
So, I would rather just call it listeners because that's, we know that's true. They had to listen to interact with the show. That doesn't mean it's because they download a list doesn't mean they're fans. So, yeah, I like listener segment. Or maybe we could think about it, come up with something,
a little more catchy.
Rhyming. Yeah.
A little more catchy. But here's the thing. Like when I say fan on this show, generally what I mean is Bucks fan, like my fellow Bucks fan. This is a podcast by the fans for the fans, so I'm addressing fans,
Then you call it Buck fan interaction.
Yeah, Buck fan. Yeah. Though I got to be honest with you, I don't mind the idea that the Pewtercast has its own fans. I love you guys, and I'm glad that you guys are fans of the show. That's cool. And if you're listening to the show, you've downloaded it, and you're not a fan of the show, that's cool too. Hopefully you become one. But this,
just listen to it 10 more episodes. You'll be
there you go. But this is really more about, the Lord of the Bucks, Fellowship of the Fans. Like this is about us as fans together. So when I say fans, I just mean this is for the fans, right? This isn't, Robert Ayers has never emailed me in a thing for this bit. We don't put Trevor on this bit. Like this is for the fans, right? So that's what I tend to mean. But I get where there can be a little bit of confusion there or something different. So I think altogether we just need to come up with a new name. So hey, fans out there, Bucks fans and Pewtercast fans for that matter, if you've got an idea of what we can call this segment to give us something better than fan interaction, email us.
Listener interaction.
Yeah, whatever. How about something that doesn't even have the word interaction in it? Email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. But with that, why don't we go ahead and get into it? This week, sadly, Ren, I got to tell you, there are no iTunes reviews for tonight, which makes me a little sad. But I also understand because, iTunes reviews don't always come, super fast. But for anyone who's out there who would like to leave us an iTunes review, those are super important. It helps when people are searching for Buccaneers podcasts. The more reviews we have, the more 5-star reviews we have, the more that pushes us up the line so people actually see us and get into this. Because there's some, like if you go search for Buccaneer Podcast, there's some that are like defunct, you know, and there's other ones out there. So that just helps spread the word really about the Pewtercast. So I would encourage people to go over there. Leave us a review. It doesn't take very long. Preferably a 5-star review. Hopefully a 5-star review if you enjoy the show that much. But moving over, we had a couple things come through, a couple messages from Facebook, which came in over there.
All right.
Yeah, which is very, very fun. This was a message that we got from fellow fan Frank, talking about the last episode, Yucking It Up with Jason Buick. That was the one where we talked about the book, The Yucks. Very cool episode. Very fun episode. Here's what he says. He says, I read the book. It was very entertaining. It brought back memories as well. I am one of those long-suffering fans. Jason made a mention in the book of the thousands who camped in front of Tampa Stadium for 48 hours to buy tickets to the 1979 NFC Championship game against the Los Angeles Rams, and I was one of those thousands. Smiley
Nice.
face. Nice, Frank. Nice. Long-suffering fan. Welcome. Thanks for being a fan for this long, man. That's great. And Frank, if you've got any stories about like sitting in line and what that was like back then, man, send them in. I'd love to know. I just, it's knowing it's the 70s. Like in my mind, it's a 2-mile long line of people with all these like porno mustaches. Like that's what I see, and really short shorts. You know, like just that's. Like in my mind, what I see is like a 2-mile long thing with guys with like Burt Reynolds mustaches and like really short shorts, you know,
And curly afros.
Yeah, like it's maybe people with bell. See, I don't know if bell bottoms were a thing then, but that's kind of in my head what I picture when I think about this. So, yeah, so that's what Frank said there.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's the first thing I thought was, oh, great, he's a fan like us. And then I'm thinking, well, geez, I was like 9, maybe even younger when that happened. So Frank's got to be, he's got to be in his late 50s, maybe early 60s. And
or he had a really cool dad that took him out to do that.
Or maybe maybe he was with his dad or his mom or both of them. Maybe all 3 of them. Maybe he had a sister there. I don't know. We need a follow up to that story. I'm with you. Yeah, Frank,
tell us more.
we need an email about this story.
Tell us more.
I'll tell you what. If you make some stuff up and make it really juicy, we'll have you on as a guest. Let you tell a story.
And we'll never know. We'll never know.
And that might not be true. We might.
If it involves ninjas, we're totally calling you to be on the show.
True, and pizza.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, that was one. I thought that was just a fun message that we got through Facebook. But the other one was actually a post that we got tagged in by Cheryl. Now Cheryl is, if I understand it correctly, she is the head of the What the Buck Really Matters 501c3 charity. Now this is not the podcast. This is actually their charitable organization.
Do you know what that means? 501c3.
Yeah, that's like a tax designation.
Okay, that's what I always thought too. But Derek says it a lot, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it means charity.
Right.
They're a non-for-profit charitable organization. So anyway, they were having a school supply drive for children in Tampa. And they had this big thing. They were trying to get $6,000, $10 filled a backpack. They were going to try to pack 600 backpacks for children throughout Tampa who don't have the resources to get themselves supplied up for school. And I guess teachers could put in requests for backpacks for their classrooms, for kids that might be in that situation. And they wound up stretching to like $8,000, which would give them like an extra 200 backpacks, 800 backpacks. And they were doing a whole bunch of stuff. So we had kind of put out a thing here with the Pewtercast, just sort of, we don't have a charity arm yet. So
we don't have an R2D2 3CPO.
Yeah.
Taxable
we don't have that
refund.
kind of tax designation yet for Star Wars. And so, and I learned a long time ago, when people are already doing something well, don't try to recreate it. Just, like jump on board with them and help them out. So that's what we kind of decided to do. And we put out and we said, hey, listen, for anybody who matches, or for anybody who donates to this during this drive, the Pewtercast is going to match up to $250, dollar for dollar, what you guys put out there. So thanks to you guys, a bunch of you guys tweeted, a bunch of you guys emailed back in. But thanks to you guys, we were able to actually max out our contribution. And the message that Cheryl got, I wasn't prepared for this because I didn't do the math. I didn't think about it in this way. But Cheryl sent us a thing on Facebook saying, a huge thanks to the Pewtercast for supplying an entire classroom of children with backpacks. Unbelievable.
Nice.
Thank you. Now, Pewtercast listeners, my fellow Bucks fans, what that means is together, collectively, we were able to supply 2 classrooms full of backpacks. What you guys did and then what we were able to match. And that's awesome. I am super proud to have been a part of that, to be able to help get to that spot. You guys rock. You guys were amazing. Thanks for jumping in and being a part of that. And Cheryl, it was certainly our pleasure. Derek, you guys, it was our pleasure to be a part of that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for that.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that this was all Brent. He didn't even run it by me. Not that he had to, or like I would have said no, or I don't want to be any part of it. And all the money came out of Brent's pocket. He never asked money for me, so pretty much what this means, I'll be buying him dinner when he comes down for stick carrier day, probably breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sort of to pay him back because I'm in this. But great job by you for thinking of it. Getting it organized and actually making it happen. Classroom, I'm assuming there's still around 30, 32, 33 kids like that. And, that's no small feat. And I actually saw a picture today where Derek Fournier tweeted out that it showed like a bin that was supposed to be filled with school supplies. There was like one marker, like a highlighter and an eraser in there, and everything else had gone out. And if you'd seen some of the pictures of them stuffing backpacks to see how much supplies they actually had. I mean, there was like stacks and stacks and stacks of just like
I saw some of those
of spiral notebooks, and then next to that was just like stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of like pencils. Like, and there was a lot of people there. I mean, they got he doesn't really talk about it a lot, and he always talks about the crew, the What the Buck crew. They've got some really dedicated people that are really doing some good work. And I don't know why, but in my head I just thought it was like maybe 2 or 3, but there was I might be remembering it wrong, but it seemed like there was 15, 20, 25 people all in that room putting together those backpacks. So excellent job, Derek, and a tip of the cap to you, Brent, for putting it together and at the end coming through, and for you Pewtercast listeners who helped Brent, get up there and match that total. And that's why he did it. And thanks for stepping up in the name of, under sort of the Pewtercast banner to help those kids out.
Yeah, you guys rock. It's put out the challenge. You guys answered, and it was great. It was really, really great to see that in. So thanks again for that. So that's Facebook. Twitter. This is kind of a late response. I try not to, we talk a lot throughout the week. I'm not trying to recap everything we do on Twitter, just the ones that stand out. And this one kind of came in actually in response to our poll question today.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it made me laugh a lot. So I just wanted to address it. This one is from Andrew. Now, remember, the poll question was, what are you looking forward most to seeing on Hard Knocks? And he says, to get a sneak peek at the players naked.
Andrew did that?
Yeah, Andrew. If you guys want to know who it is exactly, you can go back and look at it. I'm not going to put him on blast like that. But okay, here's a question. This is why I'm putting this out there.
I'm only going to tell you exactly where to find
him. Well, if you're going to have to do the extra step to go do that. But here's my question. Because this is HBO, and I watch Game of Thrones and some of their other shows. I know exactly what is seen on that show and not seen on that show. We're not going to see that for the players on Hard Knocks, are we, Ren? Like, I'm not concerned about this. Like, because I was going to watch
No.
this with my kid, like, you know, or,
and you should, except for maybe the language.
Yeah.
No,
'cause-
I don't think so. I'm not really like I've never watched a full season of Hard Knocks. I've caught a couple episodes here and there. I mean, I remember being, in my early 20s, I couldn't get enough of sports, let alone football. So I would watch anything out there. And if a show like Hard Knocks, I would be all in it. If the Dolphins were playing the Rams and it was the only game on, I was watching it.
right.
But as I grew older, and you get more responsibilities, it sort of takes you away, and you got to kind of plan out your time better. And quite frankly, at the end, I don't care about the Dolphins and the Rams anymore.
Exactly.
I just don't. I understand the game. There's nothing really I'm going to pick up from an announcer or a color analyst that's going to, sort of open my eyes like, oh, I never thought of that. That's really not going to happen. I've been watching football long enough. Not that I'm an expert or a coach or a scout. I'm not saying I'm the be all end all or even close to it. It's just all I really care about is my team now. It's not about watching the thrill of watching the sport. It's the thrill of my team. So, what was the question? Oh,
naked players. The
thrill
thrill of your team, Ren.
The thrill of my naked player team. Sugar plums, literally. You know what I mean? Dancing in my head. No, I don't think we're going to see that.
Okay.
But I sort of got off the tangent. Yeah, I've only seen a few episodes of Hard Knocks, so I can't say for sure. And if they do, I'm. You know what? I will not be pleased. I can tell you that.
I got it because I had a friend of mine who got to be in a locker room one time after a game, and he was telling me about how they go in for open locker room, the media guys do, and they're sitting there like shoving cameras and microphones and recorders in these guys' face, and you see them there, and they're naked from the waist down. Like guys are coming in and out of the showers, and everything's just hanging out. Like there is no shame, and I'm sitting there going, and Casey Phillips is right there, and just guys and I'm kind of sitting here going, no, get out of the locker room. Like that's not an okay spot to be in, or like I at least want to think it's a different part of the locker room or something. But no, that's what I understand it's like in there, and so I'm kind of going, maybe we could, but I don't know. Like I just maybe I should be more concerned about language than naked guys, whether or not to let my kid watch. But I don't know. It's HBO. That's the thing. It's HBO. Who knows? I
don't think it's going to happen. But I've heard Mark Cook tell stories about the Bucs locker room now. It is at Ray J. We're getting this bigger. The bigger locker rooms part of phase 2 or phase 3, whatever they're in. I think they're in phase 2. Is they're getting this new huge locker room, and one of the things with Cook was would say like it's small in there, and that was sort of, I think the question was like, what's your what you were excited about phase 2, and he's like the locker room, because he's sort of tired of other men's dongs being rubbed against his arm, because
he's trying to get a thing.
Yeah, because it's such a tight fit, and people are like, "Excuse me, pardon me," and he's getting guys' cocks like rubbed against his forearm and stuff, and you just you got to pretend like it didn't happen, I guess. I mean, what are you gonna do? Look at the guy and be like, "Put that thing away," like, hey,
well, if that didn't
watch where you stick that thing.
See, that's why the members of the media are not actually fans. They're but
exactly.
They're cheering for the guys. Your thing touched me, and now I'm behind you all the way. Like
we have this weird connection.
We
now.
have a weird bond. Wow, the places this show has gone tonight, Ren.
Yeah.
I might have to mark this as like a PG-13 or R. I don't know. Gosh, weird places. All right, let's get to a couple emails that we got coming in. We had a couple. This one is from Brett Young, not Brent, but Brett Young.
Gotcha.
High five for having a similar name. He says, "Hello, I'm Brett, and I've been listening to the podcast since just before the draft this year. Great podcast, and I'm always excited when I hear a new episode is coming soon. You two do a great job of keeping me up with helping me keep up with all the latest Bucs info and helping give me different looks on what's happening with the Bucs. Super fun there." He says, "Anyways, lately I've heard about some comparisons of Jameis with Josh Freeman." I think we all know what we're talking about there. That blew up about a week or so ago. And he says, "While I believe Jameis is going to be much better than Freeman, it still has me thinking, with all the potential talent on offense this year, What would happen if Jameis does not improve on interceptions and his overthrowing problem? I don't think there's any way he will, but the potential of the situation still bothers me. Thanks for bringing great content to the Bucks community. Go Bucks! Send from my iPhone. So what do you think? First of all, let's go back. Let's talk about that whole Jameis versus Josh Freeman, because I kind of went off on Twitter a little bit as well about this.
I sort of missed that whole thing, to be honest.
Okay,
I don't know what started it. I don't really know how.
Okay, so here's the deal. Ben, I think it's Ben Albright is his name. He's an NFL, ESPN pundit, talking head. Doesn't really know anything about our team aside from whatever he gets on his daily briefings. Okay, like he's. I hate to say he's a nobody, but he's kind of a nobody as far as Bucks fans are concerned. He tweets out this statistic saying it compared Jameis and Josh Freeman's interceptions to touchdown ratio. And that's all he tweeted out there. He just said, here's Jameis's touchdown to interception ratio. Here's Josh Freeman's touchdown to interception ratio, like within the same first 2 years or something like that.
No, but I think he kind of didn't. He like preface it with, "I don't know what the big deal about Jameis is."
No, he didn't. At least not to my memory. It was no. In fact, he didn't, because he kept defending himself when people like lost their shit over this whole thing.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
And where he said, "I just put out a stat. I didn't even put out a comment. It was just a stat. It was an interesting stat. It wasn't a comment." And I eventually tweeted him. I was like, "Dude, I know that you didn't put out a comment, but you're trying to imply something here." I was like, because people are definitely inferring it.
Why is it interesting?
Yeah, like what's your deal? And he sent me back into it, and he actually was real nice about it, because he started going off on stick carriers, calling them a mob, and just because the stick carriers picked that up and blew it up. I mean, it was amusing at some point to watch, and then
release the hounds.
I mean, it was amusing, and then it was hard, and then it started becoming amusing again. It did one of those things, and it was. Like, I saw his point. Like, he didn't actually make a comment. He just put the tweet out there. Other people were inferring into what he put out there. But, I said, come on, dude, you're trying to imply something. What was it? And he said, the only thing I was just trying to put out is that, and this is where he said, that people are not as bad as we remember them. And sometimes the hype around somebody right now is not as good as it seems to be. Like that was what he said. Okay. And he just left it that. But what he was trying to say was, listen, if we remember, Josh Freeman, after his first couple of years, was doing pretty good. Like, don't
he
discount that.
He had a great season.
Yeah,
he threw through 5,000 yards,
exactly,
and like 28 touchdowns or 25 touchdowns, and only had like 8 picks. He had one year where everyone went like, okay,
right,
this can be the guy,
right. And then he turned around and he blew up. And here's the thing, and this gets to my whole point. When stats mean something, you can't negate stats, but statistics without context can tell you weird shit, like weird stuff, and you can make up anything. That's when Levy used to say you can make a stat seem like anything. He's right. You can, because when you take it out of context, as with just about anything, when you take it out of context, it all of a sudden can mean weird, wacky stuff. And that's what I always say to people. Listen, guys, statistics are tools. They're not the be all end all. They're useful, they're helpful, but you have to put them in context. And let me tell you what, the context of that stat under Jameis versus the context of that stat under Josh. Now, bear in mind, Josh is in the past, and he's 5 years down the road. This is just year 3 of Jameis. How many years was Freeman with us? Was it 5 years? 4 years?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Somewhere around there. This is only year 3 of Jameis. We've only had 2 years. And I have said on this show, listen, it's still too early to judge Jameis. Now, I think Jameis is going to be great. I think Jameis is going to be around for a long time. I think Jameis is going to be I think everything is out there. It's going to be great with Jameis. But it's still too early to know. I mean, he could still implode this year. What if it happens? It's possible. I don't think it's going to. I'm just saying it's possible. So, give that its time before we crown Jameis the next coming of, I don't know, what, Dan Marino? Brett Favre? I mean, whatever, But there's so many differences between Jameis and Josh Freeman. All right, so many differences. So That being said, it still brought up a question in Brett's mind that says, with all the talent, what would happen if Jameis does not improve upon his interceptions and overthrowing problems? He said, the potential of the situation bothers me, but he doesn't think he's going to. So, Ren, I'll throw that to you. What do you think happens this year if Jameis does not improve upon his interception, the amount of interceptions, because he threw a lot last year, and even in his first year, and even his overthrowing problems?
We lose on the road in the first round of the playoffs. I think the talent is there where if he has the same year statistically he had last year, that they make the playoffs. I don't think they win the division. I think they have to probably go on the road and they lose that game. That's if he doesn't improve. And if everything that we think is going to happen, without injury or bumps in the roads, or someone takes a nosedive as far as their career going, we think they're all going up, and someone just has like a really bad year, or God forbid, Grimes blows his knee out, and then and Hargraves doesn't turn into what we think he is, and they can just pick on the cornerbacks all day, and he can't really do the scheme defense or on offense. So Sweezy blows his back out, and just things really go a little haywire. And there's going to be a point where somebody gets hurt, and it just might happen. But if Jameis has the same statistical year and everything stays copacetic as sort of what we're thinking, I think there's enough talent on both sides of the ball to still get into the playoffs, even with 18 interceptions and 30 plus touchdowns. But I think that recklessness with the ball, or the inability to protect the ball, once you're in the playoffs, you're playing the top teams. Everyone's looking at the Giants-Patriots game. I think it's week 4 and 5. It's like, this is, that's sort of going to be a real test, see where we're at. Well, those are the teams you're going to be playing in the playoffs. And if, you haven't improved your accuracy, overthrowing the ball and throwing picks and sort of an incomplete pass is a good thing sometimes. If that hasn't sunk in yet, I think that's going to happen. I think we'll make the playoffs, but it'll be on the road and we'll lose the first week.
You took that answer in a completely different direction than I was looking at it. And I love that you did that. That's why I like having you as a co-host. Because I think you're right. The effect of it on our season, I don't want to say is nil, because it will certainly affect the season, but
we're not going to go anywhere until he improves.
Okay.
We're not going to make the big, deep playoff push until he does take that step.
Fair enough. I was looking at this from what is Jameis's future with the team going to be like, from that side. So I'll tackle that question. And if it doesn't improve this year, the big impact, I think, is what you just said, is we make it to the playoffs, we lose on the road in the first round. If he doesn't improve ever, years down the road, because that's what I said just a minute ago, it's too early to even judge Jameis. We've got to let him get out of his rookie contract and let him get to that second contract before we can really start judging the long-term effect of Jameis Winston, to be fair. And I think he'll be fine. I think he will be everything that we expect him to be. I think he'll get there. But the interceptions and the overthrowing problems, again, these are statistics that have to be looked at in context, right? That's what we were just talking about, right? Mm-hmm. You have to look at these things in context. And the question that I have, and I don't know the answer to this, is of the number of interceptions that he threw last year. And how many did he throw? Was it 41 or something? I don't know. It was some
41,
number.
18.
18. Thank you. Sorry.
41.
I don't know where I got 41 from. I was looking at a different number. Yeah. 18. Okay. So he threw 18 interceptions last year. Okay. What's a good number of what's an acceptable number of interceptions for a quarterback to throw in a year? 8?
12 and under.
12 and under. Okay. So let me ask you this. Of those interceptions, how many were actually Jameis's fault?
I know where you're going with this.
You see what I'm saying?
But even the guys that have 8 interceptions, you could still say that 3 of them weren't their fault.
Okay, great. But that's what I mean. Like, let's look at this. But here's the thing that I would say to that. Okay, because yes, you're 100% right. But again, you have to look at their context versus our context. What has been the big thing let's just look at last year. What was the big thing that we didn't have last year? Speed. Okay, well, you talk about overthrowing. Jameis is trying to get the ball somewhere to where a guy with speed should be able to get to, right? You know, if the plays aren't developed, then Jameis has to hold the ball a little bit longer. You know, maybe people track his eyes. No, he had interception problems in college. You know, so some of these are his. So I'm not saying that it's not Jameis's fault. What I'm saying is we got to look at those things in context to see. And when you start talking about his future with the organization, his future as a football player, I think you've got to see that. I think by the sheer nature of the fact that we've added speed this year, provided our offensive line stays healthy, and they're able to protect Jameis better, that's going to help him reduce the overthrowing and the interceptions. The fact that Mike Evans is going into yet another year and taking another step function forward is going to help reduce all that kind of stuff. And the fact that you remember even last year inside of our wide receiver room, you had Vincent Jackson go out with an injury. Cecil Shorts went out with an injury. Everybody that we brought in, it seemed like they all got injured. You know, the only 2 guys that were healthy the whole year was Adam Humphries and Mike Evans in our wide receiver room. It seems like we've got a deeper stable of that right now. So to me, you know, like I say, I think you got to look at it in context. If it never improves and it really is his fault, I think long-term what that means is maybe he's not the franchise quarterback that we thought he was. But we're not going to know that for years. And I don't think that's going to be the situation because, you know, Jameis keeps talking about, I've got to protect the ball. I've got to get better. These are areas where he's consistently working to improve, and I think he's going to get better.
Yeah, and to sort of bounce off that real quick, if he just sort of stays where he is, and yeah, he won't become the franchise quarterback we thought he would, but he'd still be the franchise quarterback because who's going to replace him?
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, he'll be like Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good example. Yeah.
Good leader, but just sort of like a gunslinger who's careless with the ball, and you know that's just what you got.
Yeah, and I saw somewhere the other day, Phillip Rivers is like the number. He's like right now rated on somebody's list the number 7 best quarterback in the league, which is not a bad number. You know,
no,
I think Jameis was like 19 or something.
I mean,
somewhere
you always talk about Brett Favre, he's a first-time Hall of Famer. He only won 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you know. We're sort of spoiled this era right now because it seems like, you know, Tom Brady goes every year. So you kind of think that, you know, well, my quararterback's good. He should be able to go every year, too.
I mean, Eli's won a handful.
2.
Rodgers,
he's won the both.
Yeah, Rodgers, he's got 1.
He's only got 1. You know,
wow, yeah.
You talk about all these greats and you're like, oh, man, Jameis, we're going to win like 4 or 5 Super Bowls because you see Tom Brady do it. But it's, you know, Drew Brees has 1, and he hasn't been 500 in the past 3 years.
Right.
You know, it's so. Just to wrap that up, even if he doesn't improve, he's still going to be the franchise quarterback because you just don't replace guys with that sort of talent, leadership, and intangibles.
Yeah, I agree. So Brett, thanks for your email and your question. Yeah, it was a great question. Certainly something to bounce off that and let that sink. But in the end, I don't think it's something we have to worry about, just like you said in your deal. So with that, moving on, got a couple of emails in this week about the Pewtercast second annual fantasy football league. A couple people, lots of people starting to sign up for that. So guys, if you want to be a part of that, email it over to me. I need your email address so I can send you the invite. thepewtercast@gmail.com. We'll get that invite over to you. If we get enough people, we'll start a second league that Ren will head. And then if we get more people on top of that, we'll do multiple leagues. I don't know. You know about that. We talked about that last time, Ren.
That's true. I'm lying.
We did. So you guys do that. It should be lots and lots of fun. It'll be $10 to get in. And what we'll do is the winner will split the pot. The winner gets half, and the other half goes to charity. Last year we bought a whole bunch of peanut butter for a local food bank. So that was fun. All right, moving on. We have one more email for this week. Oh, we got 2 more emails. Sorry. Two more emails. This one comes in from Chuck. He says, what do you guys think about Jason's comments on, I'm assuming Jason Light, his comment on Doug Martin not being the starter when he comes back? Chuck. Ren, you want to tackle this one?
Yeah, sure. This seems to sort of be a narrative that won't die, and I understand why. I mean, because it's such. I sort of mentioned it earlier in the podcast. It's just such a question mark, because the Bucs haven't come out and said exactly what they're going to do, and I think some people would just be relieved if they cut him, or they just come out and say, yes, he'll be the starter week 4, or he'll definitely be on the team week 4. But none of that has come true, and they sort of take this approach to a lot of things is we'll worry about that when it comes up. They haven't, and it's sort of like no one's job's guaranteed, even nobody on the team's job's guaranteed. You could say, well, Jameis isn't going anywhere, but if Jameis, wakes up tomorrow and robs a bank and gets caught, on Dale Mabry and, they're not going to, he's not going to be on the team. There's always something that can happen that every player on the team is not going to be there. Nothing's guaranteed. So they don't have to make the decision till week 4. And you don't want to come out and say, yes, he does have the job, or no, he doesn't have the job, because no, he doesn't have the job. Then why is he there? And yes, he does have the job. What's that saying to the guys behind there? Mm-hmm. And you know what? Doug let the team down and let the fans down. He should sort of have to wiggle on the hook for a while, at least publicly. Who knows what they told him behind doors. And you got to think, if Doug gets, he's in drug protocol right now, and if he gets popped, that's 8 games, and that'll kind of make the decision for him. These sort of things works out. Who knows? Week 2, Charleston blows out his ACL. Are you, now you still don't want Doug Martin on the team?
Right.
It's like, so now you're down, to Quiz, and you're down to Barber, and you're down to rookie McNichols. Like, Doug Martin will be back next week. Do you want him? Yeah, you want him.
Right.
So they're just sort of not saying what they're doing because they don't have to. I'm in the camp that I think Doug Martin's going to be here week 4. And if everybody stays healthy, Sims, Barber, Quiz, and McNichols, that they're going to have to make some sort of decision. Probably the best thing to do. Tough cut. Yep. Best thing to do is put Barber on the practice squad and hope he makes it. Hope he sticks there. Right. There's lots of scenarios we could talk about it. But as far as them coming out, I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. The reason it got so much pub is because it was ESPN. Mm-hmm. You need stuff to talk about it. I heard it was like on their crawler.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's exactly what they've always said, and you've heard Dirk Cutter say it, and I've heard Jason Light say it, is you don't get rid of good players, and if you don't think Doug Martin is a good player, then you're going to lose that argument. Yes, he hurt your feelings, he let you down. Yes, he's had 3 crappy years, but the 2 years that he hasn't, they've been fantastic years. Yeah. He's the best running back on the team. You just don't get rid of that guy. So that's sort of I stand on Jason Light's comments.
Yeah. And you also don't name. I mean, you don't name somebody the starter unless that's really what they are. Like what was it when Levy was here and he named Mike Glennon the future of the franchise? Like,
he's the future quarterback of the Bucs.
Right. You don't do that. That's stupid. The only time when I think it was justified was remember when Tom Brady was serving his 4-game suspension, was it last year? And somebody said, well, hey, if Garoppolo's playing really good, are you going to give the job back to Tom Brady when he comes back? And Belichick's answer was, Jesus Christ. Yeah, like, he didn't even answer it. It just, I'm not going to dignify that with a response. And people keep asking, well, what's going on with Doug Martin? And I think Jason's comment was exactly right. Like, Jason did not say Doug is not going to be the starter. He just said it could be anybody. The game is open. Like, we're not going to hand it to him. And you know what?
He may be on the team. He may not be on the team.
They're right. You're absolutely right. And you know what? There are guys out there, and this is in every walk of life. This isn't just football. This is anywhere you go. There are, am I one of those people? I might be. There are people who perform better when you have a carrot dangling in front of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just do. Like, if you have something out in front of them, they, for whatever reason, my 5-year-old is like this. If I give him something to work for, he goes for it and he does it. That might just be who Doug Martin is. You know, he needs the contract in front of his face. He needs his job in front of his face. He needs something, you know? Yeah.
He needs some type of obstacle to overcome.
Yeah. And if that's who he is, that's fine. Let's be smart and let's play to that. You know, I mean, that's what good leaders do. That's what good managers do is you find how your people tick the best and you play to that. You play to those strengths so that you get the best out of your people. And, you know, and I don't know. What do you do? Let's say he comes back week 4 and everybody's rocking. I've said, you know, you play the best people you got. And when Doug comes back, you know, if it, let's say it's Jacquizz and he's super duper hot, then you stay with Jacquizz, you know? And when Jacquizz stops getting hot, you put out Martin and see what he does. That would seem to make sense to me, you know? But you just don't know what's going to happen come week 4. And so you don't do anything until you absolutely have to, right? You don't make a commitment one way unless you absolutely have to. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's it. You know, and it's sort of like they've been saying the whole time, you know. It's not the first time they said we don't have to make a decision on that right now.
Right.
And you know, that's sort of that's their go-to answer for them a lot. And it's not that they're sort of avoiding the question, that's just the way they do things. And the sooner that, you know, people that are asking the questions realize that, then they'll stop asking that question. I guess, you know, because you hear it a lot. Like, you know, you heard Duck Cutter say it all the time. Like, we don't have to worry about that right now. Like today, who was it? I think Roy Cummings said, "Does all the rain at one point start to get to be too much? You're not getting any good work in, like any dry, you know, like sunny work, like non-rain work." And he looked at him and he goes, "Yeah, but we're not to that point yet. So, you know." You know, we're not to the point where we've had too much rain, so I'm not going to sit here and worry about, oh my God, what am I going to do if it rains the next 4 days? I don't have to worry about that until it happens, and it's just the way they do it. And so, yeah, I have no problem with anything that happened or has happened with the Doug Martin situation, besides him getting suspended in the first place.
There you go. All right, well, we've got one more email, and Ren, I bet you can't guess who this one's from.
Hey, Chef. Hey, kids.
Hey, Chef. Chef Aaron writes in and says, I wanted to ask about the Glazers needing to give Jason Light his extension. And he's done in 3 years what Allen, I think that's Bruce Allen and Mark Dominic, have never done, and that's build a contender. What do you think about that? He's got a little bit more, but let's stop there. What do you think about that? They need to go ahead and give him his extension?
We won't have to worry about that until his contract's up. I
think that's the answer right there.
I've actually gone on record when that article that Trevor was referring to in his interview, and thank you very much for you know, he actually put a link in his cover 3 to that article. So thanks again, Trevor. That really helped. I put at the end was that I think the smart move would, for the Glazers, as sort of like the Mike Evans issue, get him now while he's cheap before this team starts to make a big playoff run.
Right. Like,
I know you have Mike Evans under contract for 2 more years, but sign him now because you're going to save yourself like $30 million.
Right. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Sign him before Odell Beckham Jr., who's in his same draft class, gets his stupidly big check.
Exactly.
You know. And here's the thing. I mean, that's not to say I want to see Mike Evans make a crap ton of money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't want it to hurt the team, but I mean, pay him. It's fine. Make him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. I don't care. As long as you got enough as long as you got enough cap room to pay everybody else, I'm good. You know?
And Greenberg's really good at that. So I'm not worried about it.
He is.
So, but I don't know how. I know that's how the Bucks do business. I don't know if that's how the Glazers do business. So they might be just, you know, well, maybe I'm not going to give you an extension until you do make the playoffs.
That might be it. They might be waiting, you know. And honestly, if this is the year that we think he's going to make the playoffs, let him get the playoffs, and you know, that actually probably gives Light one more feather in his cap to be able to bargain for more money, you know. But yeah, I agree. I think the Glazers do need to give him an extension. Is the extension done at the end of this year? Is his current contract done? Or is it one more year after this? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But
I think this is his last year of his contract.
Yeah. So I think they absolutely need to give him an extension. I think they will. They'd be foolish. If here's Bucks fans, here's what I'll say, and we'll sick everybody else out there on them. If the Glazers don't give Jason Light his extension at the end of this year, then we need to riot and pull our money and buy the team from the Glazers because they don't know how to run a damn team.
And then we'll just hire Jason Light right back.
I mean, we can either go buy the Buccaneers or go to Whole Foods and buy an apple. It's about. Have you ever tried getting an apple from Whole Foods? Oh my God.
I don't go to those yippity dippity grocery stores.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it is. It's expensive. Like I don't care how pretty the display is. It's still a fucking apple. Sorry, it's still an apple.
Beep.
Yeah, beep boop. So yeah, I don't get.
There goes
places.
our PG-13 rating.
They sure are pretty
one.
though.
They sure
Plus,
are.
you can't buy soda. What kind of place sells soda?
Right. All right, let's continue with Chef's email. He says, also, the Light doubters need to stop pinning the 2014 free agency debacle on Jason Light. Pause. If you guys remember, that's when we brought in a whole bunch of people in 2014, paid a whole bunch of money, and
his first year.
It was horrible. Yeah, it was his first year. He said, Chef goes on to say, it's a lazy point of view when you realize that it's a lazy point of view to say that it's Light's fault when you realize that Lovey was the one who had full control of the roster. And at that point, Light had just been hired and was basically his yes man. I don't know what the dynamic between Light and Lovey was in those first couple of months when they were together. I don't know that I'm comfortable enough saying that Light was his yes man. But certainly we know, I mean, that was part of Lovey's big thing was he had to have final say over the 53. And that's by the way, why you hire a GM before you hire a head coach. Generally speaking, like don't do it the other way, but thank you Lovey for hiring Jason Light. We appreciate that.
Oh, get out. Just kidding.
Yeah. But what do you think about that? Stop pinning the 2014 free agency debacle on Light.
I agree with that. I cannot agree with the rest of it that he said. I know that it was sort of supposed to be a collaboration between the two, but how much one man influenced the other as far as free agency went, it's you can never really tell. So I'm not going to say he was his yes man, and I'm not going to say it was all Lovey's ideas. You can make an argument either way. That, because he brought a lot of ex-Chicago Bears and he was just there, and you could say, well, see, this is Lovey's guy and he's pulling the strings. But once again, not to sort of like overplay my article that's on the peterplank.com, I laid all those decisions down at Jason Light's feet. I sort of took Lovey out of the equation because it was an article about Jason Light. But I guess the most telling fact about that is once Lovey was fired, Jason Light's free agency pickups have both been home runs.
Right.
If Deshaun Jackson and Chris Baker play like they're supposed to, and I think they are, and Wilcox's look great. But Grimes and Ayers last year, were instrumental, and they're already leaders in the defense. So you can't make it one way or the other, but. And I don't really think, honestly, I don't see much out there that actually do blame Jason Light as like, well, that's not true. I still sort of see it. If you talk about Jason Light, somebody's like, what about the 2014 garbage? And that's just someone who, like, I guess like Aaron said, he's a little lazy and doesn't really know the whole story.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. I don't see that a whole lot. Like, I know it's out there. I just don't personally see it. And the people that do, I just tend to roll my eyes and move on. To be honest with you. Because I realize there are people who aren't really very informed and don't follow the team. And so unless you want me to go on a 2-hour-long diatribe giving you the history of the team and why you're wrong, which I'm not going to do, then I'm just going to move on. I don't have to argue with you on that because when we win the Super Bowl this year, that's what I think about the 2014 free agency debacle is look where we are now, and there's a lot of other things you can talk about that, right? Like, free agency goes both ways, right? Players have to agree to come here, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
And if you're a player and you go, I'm going to go to Tampa, and Lovie Smith is the coach there, and
Yeah, there really wasn't a. Who's the quarterback?
Yeah, no, Josh Mike. What? Who? No. Greg Schiano was what? No, you guys are no. You've turned over your head coach in how many times in how many years? No. Like I get that, you know. Whereas you look at the free agency now, compare it to now, right? Deshaun Jackson said he came to Tampa because he wanted to play with Jameis, and because we paid him a whole lot of money, but he wanted to play with Jameis. Like we were on his list of places to go, you know. And Jason, you know, he talked about in the offseason this last year, why do people want to come to Tampa? And he's starting to use those. He's able to get those, you know. So a lot of it was Lovey's fault. A lot of it was, I think, Jason's hands were just tied with what his options were, you know. He finishes out his email saying the only blemish in his tenure is Roberto Aguayo, and that's still yet to be determined. Which I'll take that first because I'm the hashtag I'm with 19 guy, I guess. Yeah, I think you could be right. Listen, I mean, the only blemish on his record is trading up to draft a kicker who turned out to be a dud in his first year. And it's yet, as you said, it's yet to be determined because he could turn into a stud in his second or maybe his third or fourth year if he gets that opportunity and that chance, be it with the Bucs or some other team. But that's yet to be determined. You know, it could be a brilliant move. Look at what we were talking about earlier with his pick from this year, Kendall Beckwith. Also traded up to get Kendall Beckwith. And you even said, Light was kind of, or not Light, but Carter was like, I don't really know. And all of a sudden he's turning into this guy. And, you know, I saw the other day that Folk missed a couple and Aguayo drilled them. And then somebody were like, no, he missed one. Other people were like, no, he got them all. I don't know if anybody ever solidified that one way or the other.
Cutter said they both missed the last kick.
That's what he said, but he also said I wasn't sure. I have to go back and look at the film. Yeah, and other people said it looked like he just missed it, but he actually made it. It went back and forth. There's varying reports out there. But still, but still, I think just like Trevor talked about the competition between backup quarterback between Griffin and Fitzpatrick is open and not as slam dunk as people thought. I think probably the kicker battle is way more open than people might think, and it's not necessarily as big of a slam dunk. Though that'll be something certainly to see on Hard Knocks, and we can talk about it on Talking Narcs, the after show, which will be premiering as of we say this in about 22 and a half hours, Ren. We will be premiering Talking Knocks at mixler.com/thepewtercast. It'll be something you guys can call in and talk to us about what you think is coming up on Hard Knocks, what you're excited to see, maybe what you're not excited to see, and all of that fun stuff. Should be a very, very fun show for that. Well, Ren, that's going to wrap up this segment as well as the whole show. As a final reminder to all of our friends out there, you can get in touch with us about anything we have talked about at facebook.com/thepewtercast, or hit us up on Twitter at thepewtercast, or if you're a little more winded than 140 characters, email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Well, Ren, as we head out of here, you got any final thoughts, and where can people find you all over the internet?
Very quickly on final thoughts, the only blemish is not Robert Aguayo. He actually had a not very good back half of the draft his first two seasons. So I'm just going to say that. Not that he did get very good players the front half of the back half of his first two drafts. None of those players stuck around. So that's not his only blemish. But I'm still with you. I think he's the best GM we've ever had, and he should be signed. And if you don't like him, give me a name who's going to replace him. You can find me on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. Always love the talk Buccaneers football. Talk to you guys if you want to. Not that I'm asking you to, but I've had some people say that they're looking forward to meeting me at training camp. That's the best way for us to hook up. If you want to do that, maybe we get a little interview in and you get out on the journal show. So thank you very much, everybody.
And I am Brent Allen Live. That's at Brent Allen Live on Twitter and on Facebook, really. You can find me out there, or you can catch me personally. I actually run all the Twitter accounts for the Pewtercast, so you can check us out there as well. Well, guys, that's going to do it for us for this episode. Hey, listen, we got tons of content coming to you guys over the entire course of August until we get into the main season and things will kind of go back into their thing. We've got Brent, I think we figured it out. We've got basically something coming out every day.
Yeah.
I think is about how it's going to work out. Sometimes twice a day. So that's a lot of stuff. You guys, the main episodes, I think, are the bread and butter. These right here, episode 41, 42 will be coming out. 43 will be at the end of August. Definitely check these out. But we've got Training Camp Journal with Ren Dax. Those are coming out daily. That practices is happening. We've got Talking Knox, which is coming up soon. We've got the Instant Cast, which will be following up all the preseason games. Lots and lots of stuff happening, guys. It's exciting. The long, dark night of football is over. The season's here, guys. So super excited. So, guys, that's going to do it for us this week. And as we always say, until next time, go Bucks. Okay, coming back, top three segment in 3, 2, what? Are you okay? You good to go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I heard you going, oh, what? Coming back in 3, 2.
Boop.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm saying boop.
Oh. Welcome back to the Pewtercast. You're listening to episode 41, Training Camp Hysteria. And for Boop.